What's up, everybody? Good morning and happy Monday. Man, I already wished it was Friday, huh? Hopefully all had a fantastic weekend and you are ready to hit up a brand new work week here. Whether you are listening on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM online, you can stream it up at sportstalk1051.com. Got your smart devices, the app, and the video stream also up and rolling. However you're tuning in, we appreciate it. What do we have on our game plan for this morning? Lots to get to, but Brew Crew, what a start for the Brewers, and what a series finale yesterday against the White Sox. First, go back to Saturday. They picked up a 6-1 win and secured the series victory over the White Sox. Chad Patrick, no decision, but he went 4 1/3, giving up just one earned run, a solo shot. Aaron Ashby, who's off to a really good start this season so far, he got the win. Not giving up a hit in 1 2/3, 4 Ks, a couple of walks, though. But yesterday's game, holy moly, what a finish. I know I wasn't the only one, but, when that lineup came out, Yelich, day off, Contreras, DH, Jefferson Kiro getting a start at catcher because he was called up with the injury to Andrew Vaughn. He's going to be out for a few weeks, the fractured hamate. Remember, that was the hand injury that, everybody seemed to be having as soon as spring training opened up. But he's going to be missing some time. So Kiro was called up. Gary Sanchez was over there playing first base. Bowers initially had the day off. I mean, it felt like one of those games that we see quite a bit in the season where a team maybe has secured the series win, and they go into that finale, resting some guys and seeing how it all kind of plays out. Brandon Sproats gets the start and giving up a grand slam in the first inning. With the White Sox putting up 7 runs in the first 3 innings. But the Brewers clawed back and putting up 6 in the bottom of the 8th. Highlighted, capped by Christian Yelich. Pinch hit home run. Dude jacked it to right field. A 3-run shot to take a 9-7 lead. And the Brewers would hold on for victory. Oh, man, I thought it was over with. I'll be honest. I was like, okay, it's just one of those days. Yep, Brewers cut the lead in half after 1. It was 4-2. The White Sox put on a couple more after that. Brewers just added 1 in the 6th. But that 8th inning, holy moly, capitalized by Christian Yelich's, I was going to say walk-off. Not technically a walk-off, but a go-ahead 3-run shot. It was a monster shot, too. So what a start. Brewers undefeated to begin the season. And they'll be back at it tonight, taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. So can the Brewers get to 4-0? Hey, that path to 162-0 is still alive, people. Still alive. So, but we'll talk a lot of baseball. Overreaction Monday. Should we do that? A little overreaction Monday about the Brewers. Just 3 games in. We got 158 more of these to go here. So, but we got to have a little fun. We got to celebrate when we do get some wins and such. And the Brewers are off to a really, really, really good start to begin the year. So we've got that on the docket. Yesterday was just crazy in itself because if you missed that ending of UConn and Duke, and maybe you shut it off at half because Duke was up, and it looked like they were going to be in control, but UConn making the comeback and just a wild finish in the last 10 seconds. UConn hitting the game winner with 0.3 seconds left after stealing the ball. 10 seconds left. Duke, just hold on to it, man. You don't have to worry about crossing after. Just hold on to the ball and take the foul. Trying to pass it down to a couple open guys down the court. UConn deflecting it. Dude hits it from the logo. But I was going for UConn because that meant I got all of my Final Four teams correct. All Final Four. I had UConn taking on Illinois, and I have Michigan taking on Arizona. So I was a little pumped about that. Not going to lie. So, but rest of you, how does your brackets look? All right, we'll talk some college hoops. Speaking of which, the Badger women's basketball team still alive in the the Women's Basketball Invitational semis going up against Columbia later on today. Speaking of college basketball, big news on Friday, UW-Eau Claire Blue Goals hiring Hannah Iverson, formerly now as the UW Stout women's basketball coach, but Hannah, an Eau Claire native, coming home, if you will, but taking over for Tanya Englund, who retired just a few weeks ago. So big-time hire, big time hire for the Blue Gold women's basketball program and the athletic department. So speaking of college, got college hockey, Badger men's hockey team advancing to the Frozen Four after defeating Michigan State. So they'll be back at it, taking on North Dakota on Thursday. I know Stouts men's hockey fell in their Frozen Four. UW River Falls women's hockey national champs again. So definitely lots of good hockey going around in the state of Wisconsin, that's for sure. So hoops-wise, speaking of hoops, to no surprise, the Bucks have officially been eliminated from playoff contention. Just want to pass that along here too. So they're done. Well, I mean, they still got regular season games and such to go here, but nonetheless, they've got nothing. They're going nowhere now. It's kind of just maybe a race to get a better pick between them or better odds, I should say, in the lottery and such. But yeah, they've got just 8 more games left to go, and this season from blank will be, over with in that. So. But the 10 are set. The 10 are set in the Eastern Conference. But where they're at right now, so technically we don't have anybody that we got 2 teams in the East that have clinched spots. But even though there are just 10 alive and there's 10 playoff spots, it's between the top 6 and 7 through 10. That is still up in the air because when you look at Toronto, who is in the 5th spot right now, they're 42-32. Charlotte is in the 10th spot, and they're 39-36. So they're only 3.5 back, even though they're in the 10th spot, from jumping up to that 5th seed. So lots to still play out in the Eastern Conference standings. Western Conference, we know the top 10 too, and we know two of the 4 play-ins. That's Golden State and that's Portland. But the Clippers and the Suns could potentially still jump into that top 6, although there is a bigger gap between Houston and Phoenix with the 6-7. That's a 4-game gap in there. So, but that's where things stand right now in the NBA. So if you're a T-Wolves fan, Timberwolves right now, they're in the 5th seed. So they're tied with Houston, but they hold a slight tiebreaker over Houston right now. So, but what else do we have on the docket? Hey, we've got NFL owners meetings going on, and we're actually later on this morning, Matt LaFleur is going to be chatting with some of the media there. So this is the first time that we are going to hear from Matt LaFleur since, well, his extension, Jonathan Gannon, some other topics. So the media that are going to be there, Packers media and such, that are going to be there, plenty to ask Matt LaFleur. If you were one of those media members, all right, if you were down at Arizona, I believe right now, Phoenix, and you get a shot to ask Matt LaFleur a question at the coach's breakfast, what would that question be? And make it a legit one, okay? Make it a legit one. What would be the question that you would ask? He did talk a little bit to Mike Garafalo from NFL Network. We'll go through some of his comments and thoughts. Tucker Kraft, Jordan Love, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we got that. We'll throw a little football talk into our game plan for us this morning. What else do we got? We've got VFW Post 305, best and worst from the weekend. So make your picks. Hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912, or you can join in on the Section 105 chat on the YouTube channel. So we got that. We'll do a little Glory Days brought to you by Summer Jam in Eau Claire here too. So That's your game plan for this morning. We're going to be kind of dabbling into a little bit of everything here, right? So let's pitter patter. Let's get at her. Let's open up this morning, the leadoff, recapping this Brewers series win, a series sweep, getting an early head start on some spring cleaning with this sweeping by the Brewers. So we'll take a look back at this series win against the White Sox to take a look ahead to their series against the Tampa Bay Rays. All right, we'll take our first break, and then the leadoff coming up after these quick words. Accidents happen, but getting back on the road shouldn't be stressful. So at Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, you will find experienced technicians, quality craftsmanship, and service that you can trust. From collision repair and dent removal to full paint work and insurance coordination, they handle the details so you do not have to. They will restore your vehicle the right way, safely, professionally, and with attention to every detail. When your vehicle needs expert care, choose the team that puts quality first. That's Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, bringing your vehicle back to life, one repair at a time. The leadoff. Let's talk some baseball. The Brewers beginning the season with a sweep, and they are undefeated to begin the year, 3-0. Going back to Saturday's game, picking up a 6-1 victory over the Chicago White Sox. Brewers, we had Chad Patrick getting the start in that one. Solid 4 1/3. Probably like to see him get through 5 there, but 5 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 4 Ks. Gave up that solo shot. Murakami, oh man, what a start for him. 3 home runs in 3 games here. What do they call him? The Japanese? Is it the Japanese Babe Ruth, I believe? But Ashby gets credited with the win, going 1 2/3, 4 Ks and a couple walks, and he also pitched on opening day. So not a bad start so far for Aaron Ashby to begin the season. So Brewers secured the series win with their victory on Saturday. And then, you look at the lineup that was released yesterday, and we see this all the time. We're going to continue to see it. Kind of those Sundays where maybe, you've got a series wrapped up and you kind of give some guys, or I should say you've secured a series win, and maybe you give some guys the day off and such, and it kind of looked like that yesterday. You had Terang batting leadoff, getting the start. Contreras was at DH. Rengifo batting in the third spot. Sanchez playing first because Jefferson Quiro getting called up to replace Andrew Vaughn got the start at catcher, but Frelick batting in the fifth, Ortiz in the sixth, Quiro in seventh, Lockridge getting the start in left field, Perkins getting the start in center field, and you had Brandon Sproat making the start. It looked like, I don't want to say a throwaway game, but we've seen those lineups before. And sometimes we're surprised and maybe they get the W. Sometimes it may work out the way we kind of thought. And honestly, it kind of felt, I know I wasn't the only one thinking, all right, might be a tough one, especially the way it started off yesterday with Sproat giving up a grand slam in the first, and just wasn't his day. But this Brewers team, first of all, credit to the bullpen. Let's give some instant credit to the bullpen here for not allowing further damage. After giving up 7 runs in the first 3 innings by Brandon Sproat, the bullpen locked it down, giving up only 3 hits. So Sproat went 3 innings. After that, the White Sox only collected 3 hits and 1 walk. That was it. Anderson, Koenig, Woodford, Trevor McGill getting the save, locked it down afterwards. So it starts there for the offense to try to get back into it, and for the offense to try to claw their way into it and, try to lower that lead, try to close the gap. It starts with the bullpen not allowing further damage, and that's exactly what they did yesterday. And then you had Anderson giving you a couple innings, too. You throw Woodford out there for a couple of innings. And then after that, even with Sproat only going 3 innings, they didn't have to completely unload their bullpen. So the fact that they had a couple guys and they're able to give them a couple innings too, big bonus. But a huge tip of the cap. Huge tip of the cap to that Brewers bullpen yesterday. Brewers adding a run on the 6th. Just cutting the lead a little bit there, right? 7-3 at that point. So then you head in the 8th. You're thinking time's running out. But things, the domino, the waterfall, right? The dominoes started to fall, and highlighted by Christian Yelich, pinch hit, which it's still kind of weird to say it's his first ever pinch hit home run. But he's also been, starter for the majority of his career, so he probably hasn't had as many pinch hit opportunities and such. But nonetheless, still kind of like, oh, interesting nugget. But he goes up there, 2 on, comes in for Sanchez, who hit a home run earlier in the game, but, you're doing the lefty matchup, lefty-righty such. And Yelich just tattooed one. And for a guy who doesn't show a ton of emotion, as soon as he hit it, drops the bat and gives it a little stare down and looks to his dugout and such. I mean, that was a shot. And, me and Hudson were watching it. We're just like, stay fair, stay fair, stay fair. And, yeah. But a huge, huge shot for the go-ahead 3-run shot. And Trevor McGill locking it down after that. Brewers beginning the season 3-0. I know it's the White Sox. Okay? I understand that. It's not like they just began the season 3-0 against the Dodgers or anything. So I understand that. But you win the games you're supposed to win. The Brewers are a better team than the White Sox. Too many times have we talked about Brewers or any of our other favorite teams playing down to the competition. Not in this series. The Brewers did their job, and they took this series. They swept this series against a team that, if the Brewers have the aspirations and the goals to get back to the postseason and they're supposed to be a better team than the White Sox, they did exactly what they were supposed to do. Win the series with a little cherry on the top. They swept it. So for all the naysayers and maybe the people that want to poo-poo this series win because it was the White Sox, go right ahead. But at least the Brewers did their job. They did what they were supposed to. That's the biggest thing I take away from this. And I know it's only 3 games into this series, or this season, excuse me. And it's kind of early to say, okay, first impressions, what's kind of maybe surprised you or what's really jumped out to you. I get it's only 3 games into it, but I will say this. I think there's a couple of players right now. Well, Aaron Ashby being a player from the pitching side of things, I think is off to a good start. But from a position player standpoint, I think a couple things that really jump out to me is Bryce Terang is kind of picking up where he left off at the World Baseball Classic. Because through 3 games, he has led a team in ABs. He's got 14 of them. He's hitting .429, slugging .643, and he's got an OPS of a 1.110. Again, I understand it is 3 games in, and it's only 14 at-bats. But it feels like he's already got 3 doubles. So it feels like he's at least right now so far, has picked up where he left off in the World Baseball Classic. And the other guy is Joey Ortiz. In 3 games, Joey Ortiz is hitting .455 with a .500 on-base percentage and an OPS of a .955. For a guy that, and he did have a strikeout. The one thing is, Joey Ortiz does have 4 strikeouts so far, which you want to see that number go a little bit lower. Bowers right now has 5 in 12 at-bats, but Joey Ortiz has 4 strikeouts and 11 at-bats. So you'd like to see that go down a little bit. But numbers-wise, offensively, OPS average, all right, he's off to a good start. And then Christian Yelich, 10 ABs for him. He's hitting .600 and on base of a .636. He's slugging .900 and a 1.536. 5 RBIs. This is what we want to see from Christian Yelich in that spot. Right? Batting cleanup, batting in the third, pinch hitting, whatever the heck he's doing, he has got to be the run producer. And right now, he's off to a really good start, 2-3 games in. I know numbers are skewed and one game can make a difference in a lot of these numbers. I get that. I understand that. I'm not going to be sitting here blowing smoke and saying, with we got 3 All-Stars or 4 All-Stars in that. No, I get it. I understand it. But we can also acknowledge that, all right, first series, 3 games in, decent starts, solid starts. My guy, Sal Frelick's already got 4 walks. How about David Hamilton, too? David Hamilton's off to with 2 games. David Hamilton's played 2 games. You want to talk about patience at the plate? 4 walks. 4 walks in 2 games for David Hamilton. He's only credited with 4 ABs. So that's why his average is like 250, but he's got 4 walks, for crying out loud. And he's already got 3 stolen bases. We knew about his speed. When he was acquired, that was like the first thing, or second thing, because everybody talks about the height. But you knew about the speed, too. And, all right, well, he's already displayed that so far. Yeah, he's got 3 stolen bases. Garrett Mitchell's got 2. Joey Ortiz has 2. Lockridge, Yelich each have 1. Still waiting for, like, Turang and maybe Frelick to get in on that, too. So, but what else has kind of stood out to you in the first 3 games? We could have a little fun on a little overreaction Monday here, especially after a sweep. Little early goings of some spring cleaning here for the Brew Crew. What you got for me? All right. Hit me up. Shoot me a text, 715-830-1912, or you can join in on the video stream. We got to take a quick break, but then let's take a look at their series with the Rays starting tonight. All right. We'll take a look at that and start to preview game 1 of that series. We'll be right back after these quick words. When it comes to quality meats, you don't guess. You go right to the experts. And at Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire, you're not just buying meat, but you are buying experience. Hand-cut steaks, fresh ground beef, house-made brats and sausages, thick-cut chops done exactly the way you like them. This is your neighborhood butcher shop where quality comes first and service still matters. Planning a cookout or stocking up for the week? Or maybe looking for that perfect steak for dinner tonight? Hey, stop on into Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire and taste the difference that a real butcher makes. Mike's Star Market, fresh, local, done right. Especially with baseball season and such, getting the grills out. Today's going to be a fantastic day to get the grill out and maybe fire it up and get some brats on there. Oh, yeah. I was just there Friday, actually, picking up some stuff from good old Mike's Star Market. So, taking a look at game one of this series with the Tampa Bay Rays. Kyle Harrison's going to get the start here for the Brewers, making his regular season debut. And on the other side, Nick Martinez for Tampa Bay. He's going to be getting the start. And, well, last couple of years he pitched for the Reds. So if you're looking at, experience and such, Brewers players, there's a few of them that got quite a bit of experience going up against Martinez. Contreras, 15 career at-bats, does have a home run against him, hitting 200 with a 6.67 OPS. You have Sal Frelick, 10 career at-bats, 900 OPS, hitting 400. Garrett Mitchell, 10 career at-bats, hitting 400 with 1.000 OPS. You've got Ortiz in 9 career at-bats, has struggled, just 111 average and a 311 OPS. But got also Gary Sanchez with 7 career at-bats, is hitting 429 and a 1.556 OPS. And then finally, Terang, 13 career at-bats, 231 and an 824 OPS, does have a home run and 3 RBIs. And Yelich, some solid numbers against him, 16 career at-bats, 313 average, 916 OPS. So Brewers definitely have quite a few of these Brewers, main stars on the Brewers, if you will, have quite a bit of experience going up against Martinez. So, and on the flip side, there actually is a couple of players on this Tampa Bay lineup that have a little bit of experience going up against Harrison as well. Fortes has 6 career at-bats, and he's got a 0 average, but he does have a 143 OPS, so it's a little bit there. Otherwise, I mean, that you got like 2-3 at-bats and such going up against him. So, but I'm, obviously there was yesterday with Brandon Sproat getting the start. There's some excitement. There's probably some nerves. I hope nobody yesterday is ready to, that trade to bring in Brandon Sproat from the Mets and such. What a waste. And I know there's Jet Williams with it too, but I really hope that people aren't poo-pooing on Brandon Sproat after just one start. All right, let's get a bigger sample size on here. I got to imagine some nerves, some excitement. And then once, you kind of pour gas on that fire, right, it just gets bigger and bigger and just uncontrollable and such. And it kind of felt that way for him yesterday. And I'm sure there's going to be some nerves and such with Harrison making his first start with the Brewers for the home crowd here too. But I'm excited to see Harrison. I think this is a kid that's got a boatload of talent, a lot of talent. I don't want to, set the bar really high for his first career start with the Crew. But I'm excited to see this kid in action this season and continuing to build and continuing to get better and probably consistency. I mean, that's the thing with Sproat and Harrison, with this year. Yep, they got a little bit of major league experience already under their belt, which is going to help them. But I think the biggest thing for these two, they've got the talent in the world, all the talent in the world. But I think the biggest thing that these two pitchers are going to have to figure out or battle throughout this season is the consistency. We know that they can be really good pitchers. We know the sky is a limit for these guys. But can they be consistently good? It might be a tough ask for them this year, but man, I'm really excited to see Kyle Harrison in action. I really, I think this is a kid that's got a ton of talent, and you put him with Chris Hook and this and this pitching coach staff, I think he's in line to be a really, really good player for a long time. So don't want to put a whole lot on just one start in his first career start here for the Brewers, but yeah, I'm excited to see him in action here too. So, but first pitch for tonight's game going up against Tampa Bay is going to be at 6:40. So coverage will begin on your radio dials, 105.1 FM and 790 AM, about 35 minutes prior. So, but a quick look at the NL Central standings. Who's in first place? It is your Milwaukee Brewers with their undefeated record. There's just a handful of teams that have began the season undefeated. That would be the Blue Jays and the Yankees, both 3-0. You've got the Miami Marlins. Break up the Marlins right now, 3-0 to begin their season. The Dodgers, probably to no surprise, also 3-0, and then plus the Brewers. If you're looking at just the Central, Cardinals and Reds, 2-1. Pirates, Cubs, 1-2. And just because it's a little bit of an overreaction Monday, fun version, the team in Major League Baseball with the best run differential is your Milwaukee Brewers, plus 19. Next closest is the Yankees at a plus 12. Hey, come on. Gotta throw that in there because I don't think that's going to happen throughout this entire season. So gotta throw a little bit in there. Gotta throw a little bit of love into that, right? Gotta. So, all right. We got a quick message from Surveyor Sam. Man, what a sports weekend. Bucky to the Frozen Four, Brewers sweep. And then to end the Elite Eight, UConn with the damn near half-court shot. That play will be on replay for years to come. Only grief I have. So this is, I'm assuming, Surveyor, this is your VFW Post best and worst from the weekend. VFW Post 305, that is. Only grief I have is that Saturday's Elite Eight games were not on CBS, so us commoners didn't get to watch it. Come on, NCAA, get that right. Yeah, yesterday's UConn Duke game, and I know a lot of it is recency, probably for some, but when you have like Jay Billis and these guys, this is what they do for a living, is cover college basketball, and they talk about that game as a whole going down as maybe one of most memorable. I don't want to say best, but maybe one of the most memorable. You're right, Surveyor. That play is going to be on loop throughout history now. That final 10 seconds is just insane. Insane. There's going to be a lot of second guessing and a lot of what ifs from the Duke perspective, and totally get it. And they should. But man, what a moment for UConn, and to hit that shot too. Man, this is March, baby. This is why we love March Madness, right? Is games like that, is finishes like that. Now, maybe some of you that had Duke going to the Final Four or winning the championship, it might have busted your bracket or might have ruined your bracket. But hey, I was good with it. I'm not a UConn fan, but I got all my Final Four teams in it. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Final Four is intact. Let's finish this thing strong. I think there's some good matchups in this Final Four, too. I'm excited. I'm excited about the Final Four. Illinois, UConn, Michigan, Arizona, I think is going to be a fantastic matchup. That's going to be such an awesome game. At least on paper, on the surface, it looks like that is going to be a really, really, really good game. But, yeah, I think this is a solid Final Four. I think it's good. All right, we got to take our final break, and then the first hour is already in the books, peeps. Okay, continue to hit us up with your VFW Post 305 best and worst from the weekend. I'll do my best and worst from the weekend coming up after these quick words. Looking for a great night out in Eau Claire? Well, then you need to head to the VFW Post 305 on Star Avenue. Come for the food, stay for the atmosphere, and from crowd favorite fish fries to burgers, sandwiches, daily specials, there's always something hot and delicious coming out of the kitchen. And it's not just about the menu. With live music, theme parties, community events, and something new happening all the time, VFW Post 305 is where friends meet and good times happen. Great food, friendly faces, and there's always something going on. VFW Post 305 in Eau Claire, your neighborhood spot for a night well spent. Let's do, you can continue to send your VFW Post 305's best and worst from the weekends throughout the rest of the couple hours here. But mine, there's a lot of bests, so I can't narrow it down to one. So I'm going to go in chronological order for this thing. Friday news, Blue Gold women's basketball hiring Hannah Iverson as their new coach. Big time hire. Big time hire. So congrats to the Blue Golds. Congrats to Hannah Iverson. I know Eau Claire North products, played ball at UW Green Bay and such, took UW Stout a couple of years ago to the Final Four. So I think that is a great hire. So there's one. Yesterday's Brewers ending, I mean, come on. That was insane to be just the third game of the year, and we already got something like that. That was awesome. That UConn Duke ending, for crying out loud. All right, we just talked about those two things. Even if you're not a fan of either UConn or Duke, if you're just a sports fan, you're just a basketball fan, we all can appreciate a fantastic finish or a fantastic game. And that's what that was. My worst from the weekend. Oh, and I mean, pump it back a little bit. Best two, you go men's hockey for the Badgers getting to the Frozen Four. Their comeback against Michigan State and getting the dub in overtime too. So yeah, definitely got to throw that one in there too. But my worst from the weekend. Now, I'll preface this by saying we don't know the whole story. We don't know everything that's going on. But T-Dub, Tiger Woods, man. Friday, we all know about it by now. Another vehicle accident, flipped his car, arrested on suspicion of DUI. Again, we don't know the full-on story, so I don't want to sit here, point fingers, and assume and just, say this is. But man, if you need help, bud, go get some help, dude. And I got to imagine for all the injuries that he has gone through, all the surgeries that he has gone through, the amount of pain and work that he has put his body through. Again, I don't want to completely assume, but I would imagine that if there is something with there, dude, you got to take care of yourself first and foremost. I know, hey, I'm a big Tiger Woods fan as a golfer, okay? What he does on the golf course. I'm a fan of Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods, I've said this numerous times, Tiger Woods is probably one of the most influential athletes from my era because he made golf cool, okay? He made golf cool for younger kids around my age. It's like, oh, that guy, okay, golf is actually kind of cool. Yeah. So on the golf course, he is one of the most influential, and he's one of my favorite athletes on the course. But off the course and stuff, we know the guy needs some help. And for all of the stuff that he has put his body through, that he has put his mind through, dude, you got to take care of yourself first and foremost. I would love to see you back at Augusta National next week and playing in the Masters, okay? I know we all got, as golfers, golf fans, got a little excited to see you back on the TGL making your debut. Thought, okay, is this going to be a stepping stone, or are we going to see him at Augusta? Yes, I want to see Tiger Woods continue to golf. I want to see Tiger Woods on my television set. I would love to still see Tiger Woods golf in person because I've never been able to experience it. And I know it's not the same Tiger as, late 90s, early 2000s. But, man, you got to take care of yourself first and foremost, okay? You got to do it. That's the most important thing. It's not chasing down Jack's record anymore. It's not accumulating more wins. I'm sorry, but it's not even about golf anymore. It's about taking care of yourself first and foremost. Please do that. Got to do that, man. All right? But to see that news come out Friday afternoon, luckily nobody was hurt in that accident. It could have been a lot worse. But still, that's my worst from the weekend. So continue to send us your best and worst from the weekends. All right. Your VFW Post 305 best and worst from the weekends. Text it on over 715-830-1912 or hit us up on the Section 105 chat room on YouTube. Sam says, here's a question. What point does UConn become a villain? I mean, there is a definition of basketball school in the dictionary. It has a picture of Gino on it. But it seems that no one ever dislikes UConn. No one says, I can't stand them like Duke, Florida, or Michigan State. Why is that? I don't know. I mean, you look at you look at UConn the last few seasons, they've been just nothing but the success. And you would think with a coach that gets as animated as Coach Hurley does, that maybe he would be the villain. Because I feel like there's probably some people, I mean, it's kind of, we talk about it in football a lot. If he's not a coach that, it was like that with Harbaugh with the 49ers. A lot of people didn't like Harbaugh because maybe he's a little animated on the sidelines and such. People don't like right now Ben Johnson because of stuff he says. And maybe it's just because it's not out there more, but I would imagine maybe like Big East teams, maybe this is a better question for a diehard Marquette basketball fan because they're in the same conference and such. But I don't know. If anybody's got a thought on Surveyor's question, throw it out there. As a good friend of mine always said, nobody likes a dynasty. Would you put UConn in that dynasty? Men's basketball right now, would you do that? Or is it because UConn is, I don't know, when you talk about blue bloods in college basketball, UConn's in there, right? I mean, they were winning championships before Hurley got there. I mean, Jim Calhoun, and then, you had Kevin Ollie winning the one-off in 2014. I don't know. Maybe it is, and just not hearing it from the masses there. Surveyor. Not sure. But I do feel like there are people that maybe get a little tiresome of Hurley's antics and such. But can you imagine if it was like he was on Duke or one of those other teams or Michigan? Maybe we would hear it a little bit more. All right, coming up next hour, I want to talk a little football. We've got owners' meetings going on in the NFL, and later on this morning at the coach's breakfast, Matt LaFleur is going to be chatting with the media for the first time since his extension. Jonathan Gannon as his new defensive coordinator, new special teams coordinator. So if you could ask Matt LaFleur one question, and a legit question, at breakfast this morning, you're representing the media, what would it be? He already did talk to the NFL Network's Mike Garafolo just a couple days ago. We'll go through some of his comments and what he had to say about Jordan Love, Tucker Kraft timeline, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we do have a couple of Packers rumors out there to maybe hash out here as well. So we'll get to that coming up in the next hour. Definitely more baseball talk coming your way as well with the Brewers completing the sweep. If there was something in the first three games, this first series, that maybe stood out to you more than anything else, player-wise, who was it? Who gets maybe your player of the series award? Yelly, that'd be a good one. Ortiz, Terang, kind of picking up where he left off from the WBC. Got a few. Aaron Ashby, got a few options. Mizorowski in the 1-star. So we'll get to that. We'll talk more baseball throughout the morning here as well, and continue to send me your VFW Post 305's best and worst from the weekends. We've got Badger basketball. Women's basketball, they're still alive in the Women's Basketball Invitational. If they win today against Columbia, they will advance to the championship. And as we noted a little bit earlier, too, the men's hockey team will be taking on North Dakota on Thursday in the Frozen Four. Bucks, they're eliminated, officially eliminated from the postseason. So we can start to talk a little bit about a very crucial, would you say, franchise-defining offseason here for the Milwaukee Bucks. One in. We got 3 more to go, some news updates, and we'll be right back after these quick words. Second hour, kick it off right now on this Monday morning of March 30th. If you're already up and at it, we appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with us as you get set for another brand new work week here. We'll get back to some more baseball talk as the Brewers picking up a season opening sweep against the Chicago White Sox, highlighted by that walk-off. I keep saying walk-off. Highlighted by that go-ahead home run by Christian Yelich in the bottom of the eighth inning to secure that series sweep against the White Sox. Brewers will be right back at it tonight at home, taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Yes, to a couple of you, we did talk about River Falls winning a championship too. We talked about that. We talked about River Falls hockey, women's winning another championship. We talked about that, so don't be yelling at me because we did. Also mentioned Stout men's hockey falling in their Frozen Four match too. So, guys, geez Louise. So we'll get back to that. Blue Gold basketball also picking up a big time hire on Friday, announcing Hannah Iverson as their new women's basketball coach. So, what else we got? Well, we'll talk a little Bucks as their season is officially over with. 8 games left to go. Now we're getting set for, is it fair to say, a potentially franchise-defining offseason coming up here for the Bucks? Maybe, possibly. We'll talk some hoops along with the Final Four. Taking a look at the Final Four here. So we've got Packers coming up here. We're going to talk a little Packers here in just a second because we've got coaches breakfast. Oh, the owners meeting and the coaches breakfast. This is when you get your coaches picture too. So everybody's kind of wondering where Ben. The best thing would be is if like Ben Johnson and Matt LaFleur are sitting right next to each other in that team photo. Come on, gotta make it happen. All right, make it happen. Or on the complete opposite end, make sure they're as far away as possible from one end to the other. Add a little more drama to that thing. But everybody's like talking about that on social media. So, but we threw out a question. If you could ask Matt LaFleur one legit question today, you're part of the media that's at that coach's breakfast, and you're sitting around and having your scrambled eggs and OJ and some coffee or whatever the case may be, and you get to ask him one legit question because you are a member of the media. What would you ask Matt LaFleur since the last time we heard from him, which was before Jonathan Gannon named defensive coordinator, before Matt LaFleur's extension, before new special teams coordinator? All right, a lot has happened since then. New players. What would you ask him? What would you ask him? All right. Matt LaFleur did chat a little bit with NFL Network's Mike Garafolo on Saturday at the annual league meetings. A couple quotes from Matt LaFleur. First off, talking a little bit about Jordan Love and such. Said, quote, many teams in this league are only as good as your guy pulling the trigger. So we feel like we are very fortunate to have one of those guys that I think the sky's the limit for him. We trust each other quite a bit. I would say our relationship's really strong. It's been cool to watch his evolution, not only as a player, but as a man. From the time we drafted him to where he is now, and he's about to be a dad here really, really soon in a couple weeks, but he's really developed into a really good leader for us. And this is also coming off of recent comments that Jordan Love had just a couple days ago, saying that he was really happy that the Packers extended Matt LaFleur. Jordan Love saying, quote, yeah, it was great. Like you mentioned, he's been my head coach since I got here. That's the coach who drafted me. So being able to keep Matt around is awesome. I'm very happy about that. I think anytime in the NFL, I've done this in college where the coaches leave and you're in a new system, it's tough. It's a lot to be able to learn a whole new system, a new terminology. So for a quarterback to be able to stay in the same system and keep the same terminology, it definitely helps me and my teammates out that we can hit the ground running when we get to OTAs and just build off of what we've done the last couple of years. That was in an interview to WFRV. Some other comments, though, from Matt LaFleur. Talking about, with the losing of some players and such. He said, I think the familiarity with most of our guys, obviously we lost some people. Losing a guy like Romeo Dobbs is not the easiest to replace, but it's an opportunity for other guys to step up and get more opportunities. We lost Rasheed Walker as well, but I'm excited about the group we've got coming back. It'll be great to have Tucker Kraft coming off his ACL injury. He's been around quite a bit, watching him train and rehab and go through the process. He is going to be a big focal point of our offense. He also said that he is right on schedule in terms of his recovery. So just a few comments from Matt LaFleur ahead of today's breakfast with the media. But what would you ask Matt LaFleur? Surveyor says, do you like the moves that your front office has made? And are there any guys that you wanted them to go after that they didn't? Now, to be fair, he probably wouldn't answer that part, Surveyor, considering they might be on other teams and such. So he'd probably not answer that one publicly out there. But it's a good question. I'd like to know that answer too. Is there any players that he was maybe pounding the table for? Just like pounding the table for, saying, this is who I want, this is who we need, this is who we should get, right? To be a fly on the wall of his office, or maybe he had some convos, some private convos with Goody and such. But yeah, I'd like to know that too. Was there somebody certain, or maybe a couple players out there, that he for sure wanted Green Bay to go out there and get? I think for me, if I was at that table today and getting to chat with LaFleur and able to ask him a question, I mean, there would be a few that I would. So if I had to narrow it down to just one, I'd almost want to ask him something related to, okay, you did get an extension, but how do you plan on, I guess, taking the next step? Like, what do you have to do to take that next step? Not to just make the postseason again as a 7th seed, but advancing into postseason. How do you take that next step to getting back to an NFC Championship game? How do you take that next step to advancing to a Super Bowl? How are you going to fix closing out games? From all of your off-season work and all of your off-season self-scouting, did you find ways? Did anything kind of pop up? Did anything kind of, really was consistent in maybe our reasons why we weren't able to finish out games? What did you find? Was there something that was more common than the other? Was it play calling? Was it players? How much of how is that something that you can, as a coach, be better at as a team? What can you do as a coach to be better at as a team to close out these games? Because, and I'd say, hey, your boss, Goody, has mentioned this numerous times on record to the media. We have got to learn to close out games. We have got to learn to finish these games. So, as you as the head coach and as the offensive play caller, what are you going to do differently? Was there something in your self-scouting with your staff that you found that where you're like, okay, this is what we believe that was maybe our reasoning or our causes of why we weren't able to finish off games, and this is what we're going to do differently going forward? I think another question I would ask him is, and again, this one he probably would not say officially on the record, but I would really like to ask him, how much did he really want to interview Jimmy Leonard? And did he feel the pressure of potentially losing out on his next choice, Jonathan Gannon, if he didn't hire him? Like, how much was that a factor? Or was Gannon always his number one pick regardless? Because he did interview Jimmy Leonard a few years ago, so a little bit of familiarity and such. But I'd like to know a little bit more about that process too, the defensive coordinator search. And then maybe a third one I'd throw in there, kind of similar, but from the special teams aspect. Did Rich Bisaccia initially bring up the possibility of leaving? And did you try to kind of convince him to stay, and that's why it was a late announcement? Do you regret it now? Do you feel like that, again, he wouldn't acknowledge this publicly, but do you wish you could kind of have a redo and maybe get a wider group of potential special teams coordinator candidates out there? Yeah, there's a bunch that I would ask, but if I had to narrow it down, I'd probably ask, what are you going to do differently as the head coach and as the offensive play caller to close out these games? And I just thought of another one at the top of my head. How much, okay, this would be fourth. How much does he pay attention to those NFL Players Association grades? Because he went down. Okay, he went down in grades. How much does he take that seriously? And I hope he does. Granted, I know it might be just a portion of the team, but still. You want to get your whole team on the same page, and you want your whole team to buy into what you're selling. You're the head man. You're the head coach, right? So how much does he pay attention to that, and what is his process of looking at himself to be better as a head coach for everybody on his team? Not just a select few, but for everybody. What else would you ask LaFleur? All right, there's a bunch of questions we could probably ask him, right? Those are just a few off the top of my head. Send yours on over too. All right. Got a couple Packers rumors to throw out there, so let's do that. We'll take a quick break and be back after these quick words. If you are in the Eau Claire School District, it's spring break right now, so maybe you need to load up the food pantry. Maybe you need to load up the freezers with some extra pizzas and such for the kiddos and snacks and that. Where do you go to do that? It's simple. Head on over to Hy-Vee in Eau Claire, because when it comes to fresh, convenient, and delicious, Hy-Vee in Eau Claire has got you covered. From fresh produce and premium meats to bakery favorites and ready-to-go meals, everything you need is under one roof. Planning some dinner tonight or maybe grabbing lunch on the run, stocking up for the week? Hey, Hy-Vee makes it simple. A store that feels like your neighborhood market, just a bit bigger. Plus, with daily and weekly deals and seasonal specials, there's always something new to discover. Hy-Vee in Eau Claire, where there is a helpful smile in every aisle. All right. Let's so we do have a little bit of a maybe kind of a rumor or such. First of all. Okay, so this was over the weekend. Rich Kamini from ESPN had said that and he covers the Jets and such, but there was a little bit of a nugget that Dontavian Wicks is a player that they're potentially interested in and maybe even called Green Bay on. So there's other wide receivers out there. This was part of his piece on here. It says, with free agency and trades, the Jets have addressed almost every positional need with one notable exception. Wide receiver, rest assured, they have a plan. They have 4 of the top 44 picks in the draft, which isn't top-heavy with elite talent, but runs deep. I think receivers are going to fly off the board on day 2. Don't sleep on the possibility of the Jets trading for a veteran. It's already been an active offseason for wide receiver trades, and you're talking about a GM who has made 12 player trades in little over a year. Brian Thomas, Rashad Bateman, Quentin Johnson, and Dontavian Wicks have been mentioned as trade possibilities. So, could Dontavian Wicks be on the move? We've heard this stuff about Jaden Reed and such, right? Well, we've heard about, should the Packers trade Jaden Reed and all that. Now, Dontavian Wicks, he has shown some really good glimpses when he's had opportunities, right? And Dontavian Wicks is super talented. Okay, he is super talented. He is what he does really well is getting off the line of scrimmage. The way he is able to beat coverage reminds a lot of people of Devontae Adams with his moves at the line of scrimmage to get open. Now, has he had 1,000-yard season or a ton of targets each game in that? No, I mean, when you look at his 3 years, 15 games, his rookie year, 2023, 581 receiving yards. And then, here we go. All right. 581 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns. 2024, 17 games, 415 yards, 5 touchdowns. Last year, played in 14 games, 332 yards, and 2 touchdowns. We remember his big game last year was that Thanksgiving Day game. He seems like a guy, and maybe he's a guy that just kind of gets lost in the shuffle, kind of gets lost in the depth chart. Is he a guy that, with a bigger, expanded role, that he could do a little bit more? I think there's that thought, and there's definitely that possibility. Is it going to come in Green Bay this year, in his final year? I mean, when you look at it, Watson, Golden, Reed, you throw Tucker Kraft in there, are the options kind of limited? So the question is, do you trade him? Try to get a pick? Do you hold on to him because you want depth at that position? Because maybe you're an injury away from Dontavian Wicks being a regular contributor and a consistent contributor. If you had, let's take away compensation for this kind of informal poll question on this, okay? Let's take away, well, I think this guy's going to get a higher return. All things equal in this. If Green Bay were going to trade a receiver, and I'm not saying they're going, and I'm not saying that they should. I've got no problem with keeping depth. If you've got a championship goal, you need as many good players as you possibly can have, and you stack that roster and you stack that depth chart. But if they were going to trade either Reed or Wicks, you're Goody. Or Goody gives you a call. He shoots you a text and he says, hey, Jim Bob, I got to trade one of these receivers. Which one should I trade? Which one should I keep that's going to help my offense more? Which one should I keep and maybe try to sign to an extension or whatever reasons you want to throw out there? Which one would you keep? Which one would you look to trade? Again, don't worry about the compensation. Don't be like, well, Jane Reed's going to get more in return, so I would trade Jane Reed. All things equal on this one. I'm looking at what would benefit the Packers the most if you had to move one. So in this case, which one benefits the Packers the most in terms of who would they keep? I kind of lean towards Jane Reed still. I think Jane Reed is more of the Swiss Army knife. And I think they're both different receivers, and they're both super talented in their own ways. Like Dontavian Wicks, we talked about how he can get off the line of scrimmage. Guy can get open. Has he struggled with some drops at times? Yes. But then he has that Thanksgiving Day game where he's just like catching everything. He was a big-time target, big-time player in that game. Jane Reed, I feel like, can do maybe a few different things within this offense. So I'm probably keeping Reed if it were up to me. I think it would have to be an offer that would kind of blow the door off of Brian Gutekunst and the Packers if they were going to trade a guy like Dontavian Wicks. Because I don't think Green Bay has a problem having too much depth. And I think the jury's still out. I mean, let's be real here too, okay? What do they have with Matthew Golden? We assume that he's going to be still a good player, and we're assuming that, okay, he just didn't have a lot of opportunities last year. That's why his numbers weren't up there and such. So with more of an opportunity, with Romeo Doubs, not in the picture anymore, he's going to have more. And that very well is probably going to happen and very well could happen. But what if it doesn't? Do you want a backup option in case? I don't know what the heck they have in Savion Williams, to be honest with you. I don't yet. And I hope maybe we get to see a little bit more of what they got in him in his second year. But that's where it's like, unless you get an offer that just blows it away. I'm talking like a day 2 pick. All right? Like a day 2 pick. If you get something like that for a guy like Dontavian Wicks, who I think it could be an incredibly talented wide receiver, then I think you seriously have to consider it. But right now, with the uncertainty behind, and even let's face it too, Watson's had some injuries. Still a little bit unknown with Golden. Jaden Reed. Tucker Kraft's coming back from injury. I'd rather be well set and well situated with some depth options instead of just saying, oh, let's trade in, before the guy leaves next offseason and get a decent pick in return. I don't like operating like that all the time. If you're about winning now, put together your best team. Put together the best team possible from a depth perspective. That's what I want. We got to take a quick break. Coming up next, our Glory Days, or I should say coming up here in a little bit, Glory Days segment brought to you by Summer Jam in Eau Claire. We'll get back to some more baseball talk with the Brewers sweeping the White Sox, and now they've got the Tampa Bay Rays coming to town here too. So Continue to send me your VFW post at 305, best and worst from the weekend. All right, you can text those or you can hit us up on the video stream in the Section 105 chats. Quick break, back with plenty more after these quick words. Tax season is here, and so the question is, what are you going to do with that refund check this year? Why not maybe invest it in your own space, maybe for your man cave, or maybe you need some new flooring for the living room, the bedroom, the kitchen. It's been on that to-do project list for a long time. Well, get it done this year. Head to our good friends at Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire and upgrade your flooring game in whatever space that you have that needs that upgrade in your flooring game. Whether it's with some new beautiful carpets, or maybe you've been dreaming about some durable luxury vinyl planks like some Ridge and Max flooring, they got all the options that you need. You're not sure where to start or where to begin? Hey, their entire team at Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire will help you from start to finish. Even if you're not sure, man, I don't know what color would look best in my man cave. Hey, they help me out with that too. So they could do the same for you. So don't let that refund disappear, maybe on some things that you don't need. All right. Invest it, put it towards something that you will enjoy every single day. Stop on in to Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire and turn that home upgrade into something that you will love for years to come. All right. So, Glory Days brought to you by Summer Jam here in Eau Claire. Glory Days, our segment, kind of, everybody always says, remember the good old days, or remember the glory days of this. Well, I'm relating my Glory Days segment to remember when it was all good and dandy when it came to the Milwaukee Bucks. Remember the glory days of the Bucks finishing towards the top of the Eastern Conference and competing maybe for an NBA championship, or at least that was the expectation and that was the goal and such. Oh, those were the glory days, right? Because, well, the Bucks will not be back to the playoffs this year, which is probably to no surprise of anybody at this point. But over the weekend, they were officially eliminated after their loss to the Spurs, and then they lost to the Clippers too. So now they're just kind of on this, race to see what their odds are going to be when it comes to the NBA draft lottery at this point. But they're tied with the Bulls right now, 29-45 in the Eastern Conference. The teams that have a worse record than the Bucks would be Brooklyn, Washington, Indiana, Memphis, Pelicans, Dallas, Utah, and the Kings. We bring those teams up because, well, they're going to have better chances for the top pick or a high pick in this thing. So we need the ping pong balls to go the way of the Milwaukee Bucks in that. But, you look at this trend. Let's bring up the Bucks record throughout since they've won even a little bit before they won the NBA championship and such. I'll say this, it's like a what if or hindsight 2020 sort of thing. Did they make a mistake hiring Mike Budenholzer or firing Mike Budenholzer? Should they have kept him here a little bit? 2018. All right, so let's go to 2018. So actually, let's go 1 year before that, okay? Because in 2017, 2017-18 season, the Bucks finished 7th in the Eastern Conference, 44-38. What happened then? Well, earlier on in that season, they let go of Kidd and such. They then hire Mike Budenholzer. And the following season, they're the top seed. They went 60-22. We're 33-8 at home. Made that jump. But then we know Raptors also had the Kawhi Leonard trade and that Eastern Conference Finals, right? Right there. 2019-2020, you had the Bucks, 56-17, top seed as well. And then 2020 in the 21 season, 46-26, third in the Eastern Conference. But in 2020-2021 season, champs. And then since then, yeah, you kind of look at what they've done since their championship season. 2020, 21, lost or won the NBA championship. Then they lost in the conference semis the following year. And I know they had some injuries and such, but, they still finished 51-31, 2022, 2023, 58-24, lost in the first round. They make the change at coach. Adrian Griffin, Joe Prunty, Doc Rivers. They lose in the first round. They go 49-33. Then they go 48-34, lose in the first round with Doc Rivers. And then this year, not even making the playoffs. But man, it wasn't that long ago where the glory days of some Milwaukee Bucks basketball was the glory days of the Giannis era with Mike Budenholzer as head coach. I mean, for crying out loud, Budenholzer went 60-22, 56-17, 46-26, 51-31, and his last season, 58-24. They make the change. They bring in Adrian Griffin, and he went 30-13, but they move on from him. And then they go to Doc Rivers after Joe Prunty coached for 3 games. And that Doc Rivers era, he hasn't even, last year was a winning season, I guess 48-34, but 17-19 when he came in. Last year, 48-34, and then 29-45 so far this year. Man, is it fair to say that this offseason coming up here is the most pivotal, crucial offseason in Milwaukee Bucks history? Maybe since the trade of Kareem and that, because of and we've had different points of this with the Giannis conversation, but I feel like at this point, it feels like now more than ever, we may not see Giannis with the Bucks next year, just because of the current state of this franchise, where everything is at. This is going to be one of the biggest decisions, biggest moments in franchise history this offseason, because if we take Wes Edens at his word, there's only one of these two options going to happen this offseason, this summer. Giannis signs an extension or he gets traded. If Giannis signs an extension, all right, I think the commitment is there. We can, even if he signs an extension, I know there's going to be some peeps out there that are going to, still talk about possible trades and such. And that'll never go away. I don't think that's ever going to go away as long as Giannis is wearing a Bucks uniform in that. But if he signs, I feel like, okay, the commitment is there for the next few seasons. Now you look at this offseason like, okay, what are you going to do? You got Giannis back. What are you going to do to surround him with that proper talent, with that supporting cast? Now, to be fair, Giannis has also been banged up, and he has missed a lot of time too. And I think Giannis has to do some self-reflection this offseason and be like, all right, what do I got to do differently? Or how can I prepare better so that I can, play a majority of these games in a season, help out my team. I'm a player at the caliber, at the level of, if I'm not on that court, if I'm not playing, there's a big dip in production from my team. He's got to realize that. And I think that's where he has to take a look at his off-season approach and maybe rest and recover and all that. I appreciate he wants to play, and he wants to play all the time, and I love that mindset. But at the same time, we know how NBA teams are built. If he's going to miss an extended portion of time, it's going to have an effect on his team, regardless of what team he is on, if it's the Bucks or somebody else. But man, it's like Andy from The Office. That quote, season finale, you wish somebody could tell you you're in the good old days when you're in them. I'm kind of paraphrasing. That's kind of what like the glory days is. And man, maybe I wish I appreciated the Bucks run with their championship. I mean, that from 2018 to 2022, let's say, those 4 years were those glory years of the Giannis run. lost in the Eastern Conference Finals, lost in the conference semis, won the finals, lost in the conference semis. Right now, I would love getting to the conference semis with this Bucks team and just being in contention for that thing. I get it. You know, at that time, we were probably like, hey, we got to get another championship with Giannis. And yeah, we absolutely should. And that should always be the goal. But now I would just kill. I shouldn't say that, but I would just love it if we could be in contention again for a conference semis, for crying out loud. And it's, you know, man, and it might not be fair to compare, but look at the Celtics, for crying out loud. You want to talk about an organization that is run like a well-oiled machine, and they've got it figured out. To not have Tatum for well over half the season and to put themselves in a position that they did, and even in the offseason making the moves they did, trading Drew Holiday, trading Porzingis, and like, okay, this is going to be an off year for the Celtics. They still had Jaylen Brown and such, but maybe we just didn't give Jaylen Brown enough credit. I mean, he was an all-star and a good player in that, but maybe just didn't give him enough credit to how good of a player he is. But the Celtics, they weathered that, and they didn't just weather the storm without Tatum. They were winning games and still playing at a high level, and now you add Tatum to the mix. It's like, son of a gun. Bucks didn't have that. They don't have it from a coaching standpoint. They don't have it from a front office standpoint. They didn't have it from a depth standpoint with their roster. Celtics just made some smart moves overall this past offseason, and, man, they had everything in place. They're kind of the Patriots right now, it feels like. Or the Chiefs. That's probably maybe a little bit of a better example at this point, but I don't know. The glory days of the Bucks from 2018 to 2022. I'd love to go back to that run with Giannis and those Bucks teams. Man, what could have been? But I do think this is going to be a very crucial offseason, and an offseason that could either change an entire franchise one way or the other. It's just, yeah. I guess if I had to pick one side that I think is going to happen, I think Giannis is probably traded. Because if you're Giannis, do you want to commit to a extension without kind of seeing some of the other moves and such? And you're going to have to, like, trust somebody's word that, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. All right, yep, I'll sign. But then what if they don't? You know what I mean? It's like there's going to have to be a lot of trust in a lot of these talks this offseason. All right, we got to finish up the second quarter, and then we're going to be at halftime. We'll be right back after these quick words. Looking for reliable auto service in the area? Well, hey, you've got a couple of options, and they're both right here in Eau Claire, and that's AJM Automotive. They've got 2 convenient locations here in the Chippewa Valley, and they make it easy to get the care your vehicle deserves, whether it's like an oil change, which I'm getting mine tomorrow, brake work, engine repairs, whatever the case may be. They've got the friendly experts and the honest advice and the quality service that gets you back on the road safely. So make sure you're checking them out online, ajmautomotiveservices.com, for all their services, info, their 2 locations and such. And always don't forget, follow their Facebook page as well. Look them up at AJM Automotive. AJM Automotive, dependable service done right here in Eau Claire. All right, as we approach halftime, as we approach 2 hours in and 2 more to go, we're going to talk some more baseball coming up next hour. Brewers getting a little spring cleaning, early spring cleaning. The Brew Crew sweeping the White Sox over the weekend thanks to Yelly's monster go-ahead home run yesterday. So we'll get back some more baseball talk. We've got more of your VFW Post 305 best and worst from the weekend. So send them on over. All right. What was the best? What was the worst from the weekend? I want to get more of your picks. So please send those on over. The Final Four is set in the men's college basketball tournament. How's your brackets looking, peeps? Knock on wood. Mine's looking pretty darn good. Can't ask for anything better. Got all Final Four teams in there. Now, that doesn't mean anything if I don't have championship or anything like that. So if you look at the leaderboard, yep, I'm up there. Surveyor Sam, you're in third. Kent is in second place. Surveyor, who do you have in your... Oh, look at that. Surveyor, you and I had the same... Surveyor, come on now. Us 4, pat yourself on the back too, man. Got all Final Four teams in there, big guy. We have the same exact Final Four, Surveyor. Just a different matchup in the championship game. So Surveyor's got Arizona over Illinois. I've got Arizona over UConn. So I think, Surveyor, Surveyor, you and I, a lot's going to depend on that UConn-Illinois game there, big guy. If Illinois goes, you might have it. Don't quote me. I got to look at it. So Kent had UConn, Houston, Arizona, and Michigan, and then he had Houston and Arizona in it. But, all right, Surveyor, hey now, I think it's between, let me look up another one here for Tom. So Tom had Duke, Illinois, and then Arizona, Michigan, and Illinois and Michigan. But Tom is 1 point behind you, Sam, so I think that would be the difference. Now, does anybody have maybe Illinois winning it all? I don't think so. I don't think anybody has Illinois winning it. Don't quote me. But another one, okay, they have Illinois in there, but they're too far behind. So, all right, Surveyor, it might be between you and I there, big guy, when it comes to our brackets. How about that? Do we do a little side hustle, side bet there, man? But the rest of you, maybe not in our bracket challenge. Anybody feeling good about some other bracket challenges? Feeling good? How do you think this tournament has gone so far? You liking it? Been entertaining? I think it has been for the most part. I mean, I thought St. John's was going to get it done against Duke, but then Duke came back and got that win and such. There goes my dream, though, of Rick Pitino becoming the North Carolina coach because he re-upped with St. John's and got a nice pay raise and such. He's a big East Coast guy anyway, so I know it was a very, 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 very much a long shot. I just thought it'd be kind of funny for that. I have no idea where North Carolina does go at this point, though. So we'll talk some more hoops, college hoops and such. I know Badger women's basketball, they're in the women's basketball invitational, and they're in the semis today. If they win, they do advance to the championship game. Men's hockey for the Badgers, taking down Michigan State, forcing overtime, and then winning in overtime to advance to the Frozen Four. They're going to be taking on North Dakota on Thursday. So, and then, of course, UW Stout They fell. The men's team fell in their Frozen Four, but UW River Falls women's team winning the national title again. So big weekend in terms of hockey for the state of Wisconsin, right? Big weekend. Also, got to give a shout out for the Blue Golds too. So I know Blue Gold softball just continuing their winning ways for their softball program. I mean, you look at how they've began the season right now. They are on a 13-game winning streak right now, picking up wins against St. Catherine University yesterday. They've got Hope College coming up this weekend. But shout out to Blue Gold baseball, too. Taking 3 out of 4 games against UW Oshkosh this past weekend. 11-4, 6-3, falling 1-11, then 9-6. So a fantastic weekend for Blue Gold baseball, too. They got St. Mary's University in Minnesota coming up halfway through the week, too. So good weekend for some baseball and softball for the Blue Golds. So shout out to them. All right, shot clock's cutting me off. It's halftime. We got news updates, and we'll be back, and we'll talk some more baseball coming up after these quick words. All right, halftime is over with, and we are on to the third quarter here this morning. Thanks for hanging out with us, no matter where you're listening to us from. All right. Give us a shout, 715-830-1912. Also, you can join in on the Section 105 chat over there, too. I'm assuming the crew's over there. I haven't had it up so I don't get sidetracked over there, but I'll check it out here in a little bit. But we're going to get back to some more baseball talk here. I did put up a post-glass mirror 715 speaks poll question because I was just kind of curious to get everybody's thoughts and reaction to it after the first 3 games. ABS system, the challenge system for balls and strikes. Do you like it? Do you not like it? I'll be honest. I'm a little surprised at how the voting has gone so far, for how close it is. 80, or I shouldn't say how close, but how the wide margin it is. 88% of you saying you like it. I thought it might be 60-40, kind of like it and such, but the fact that it is blowing, it's out of the water right now. 88% of you like it. Because I'll be honest. I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. Going into the season with the ABS, I was like, okay, yeah, I kind of like it. Now, I'm like, okay, some of this is just getting ridiculous. Like it's so ticky-tacky on some of that stuff. And hey, get it right, that sort of thing. But I mean, you're talking about, like, if I was an umpire, this is just me, but if I was a home plate umpire and I called a ball or I called a strike, whatever, and the catcher, hitter, pitcher challenges it, and it's off by 0.1, technically, okay, the challenge, they got it right, but I'd be so annoyed. I'm like, seriously, I was that far off. But it's going to look like that, I got it wrong. It's going to go down that I got it wrong, but I was like 0.1 or like some centimeters off. Like that to me is the annoying part because you're so dang close. Like I can't fault a home plate umpire for being like centimeters off on a call. I want this more so the clear and obvious ones. Like, was it Suarez with the Reds? There was that situation where he challenged back-to-back. So the home ump rang him up, challenged it. And it was like probably about an inch or so off. And he, challenged it. Suarez got it right. Next one, home plate ump, rings him up, challenges it again. Boom. He gets it right. So it was, I don't know. I'm a little up in the air at this point. Like the ticky-tack ones, the really close ones, that to me, I don't like. So I'll be honest. Like at the beginning of the season, I was like, oh yeah, this could be cool. This is gonna be, it's quick, it's instant, it's like tennis, right? We're gonna see the big play on the screen and all that. But now I just fear it's gonna be every little close thing, and it's just like, come on now. So I'm a little more indifferent on it, to be honest with you. At this point, I'm a little bit more indifferent on it. Because I can't fault a home plate umpire for being centimeters or a point something off. The clear and obvious ones, absolutely. Get it correct. Call it correctly. Okay? But now I just feel like luckily it doesn't delay it too much. And it's instant and such. But what are your thoughts? If you voted on it, you can text it on over 715-830-1912 or hit us up on the Section 105 chat room. Those are the ways to contribute and such. So, also coming up over the weekend, another thing that's in the running for worst of the weekend. If you haven't made your VFW post 305 best and worst of the weekend, this would also be in the running for worst of the weekend. The NFL. All right, going back to the NFL. They are set to begin hiring replacement officials. So we're just talking about home plate umpires and such. We may now be back to the glory days of replacement officials. There's another glory days for you, brought to you by Summer Jam in Eau Claire. But according to Kevin Seifert and Kalen Kaler from ESPN, NFL owners are alarmed by the state of negotiations with the NFL Referees Association and have authorized staff members to begin hiring and onboarding replacement officials in the coming weeks, league sources said. The NFL began compiling a list of college-level officials to recruit earlier this month, and owners are expected this week to approve a sweeping set of replay enhancements to support replacement officials in preseason and regular season games. According to a source, once that happens, the opportunity to reach an agreement with our current union becomes a bigger challenge just from simple economics. As it says here, that effectively leaves about a month for the sides to bridge what league sources said are wide gaps in their proposals, from economics to the seasonal structure of the job. Oh boy, here we go again. Here we go again. Potential of replacement officials. What? Why are we at this point again? I get it. Maybe this is a deadlines, Spurs action sort of thing. But for crying out loud, we do not need another debacle of the Fail Mary to get this thing rectified. We can't. It can't happen at this level again. And it may not. It might not. But we still have a bad taste, specifically maybe more so Packers fans, have a bad taste from the last time we had replacement officials. And even that one was like replay stuff, right? I mean, for crying out loud. Just reading a little bit more, one of the league sources said the league office is expecting and preparing for a lockout from the officials, referees. We are so close to expiration and so far apart on economics that unless an act of God gets involved, oh, that's great. That's cool. That's great. According to sources, the NFL has offered the Referees Association a 6-year deal that averages annual raises of 6.45%. The average NFL official earned $385,000 in 2025. The league has also pushed the NFL Referees Association to allow several fundamental changes to officials' job structure, which the Referees Association has largely resisted. The owners are alarmed that the negotiation has been as challenging as it's been, a league source said. They are alarmed that the union has resisted the performance and accountability measures. Those measures include increasing the probationary period for new officials from 3 to 5 years, shortening the, quote, dead period during the offseason to allow for more training, including a requirement for lower performing officials to work spring football games to help improve their performances, reducing the seniority-based approach to covering playoff games and largely replacing it with assignment based on performances. We really want to follow the model, which is the NFL's kind of DNA of you pay for performance, a league source said. You have to perform every day. Players do it, coaches do it, lawyers do it, owners do it, and we continue trying to test ourselves and improve. So I'll say this. If those are the measures, specifically shortening the, quote, dead period during the offseason to allow for more training, including a requirement for lower performing officials to work spring football games to improve their performance, and reducing the seniority-based approach to covering playoff games and largely replacing it with assignments based on performances. On the surface, and there probably is more to it, but on the surface, just from that part, I don't have a problem with that. Because I think as a fan, and we as fans, we want the best out there. With the highest games out there, playoff games, Super Bowl games, we want the best officials out there, the best referees out there, regardless of how long they've been there and such. We just want the best out there, because what's one thing I think we all get sick and tired of when it comes to football games that we're talking about? They missed that call, they did that call. We don't want calls in any sport to determine outcomes of games or anything like that. We don't want that. We want what's the best available out there. And we want them trained as much as possible. Practice makes perfect. And if they got to do some spring football games, if this is part of the job, like I don't have a problem with that. Don't you want to be better? Don't you want to be really good at your craft? And if that means, all right, if you got graded lower, hey, maybe, summer school I went to summer school for 1 year. Didn't want to, but, did it. Only was a couple weeks, but it was like elementary school, I think. But still, if you are a lower performing official and the NFL wants you to, hey, maybe get a couple games in spring ball to help get better, to help improve, where's the problem in that? I don't have a problem in that. John says, my best of the weekend, Brewers sweeping Chicago. Worst is probably the same as everyone else, and that is Tiger Woods. I sure hope Tiger gets the help that he needs. Just a reminder that if you're going to drink, please call someone and get a sober ride home. Well, so one thing, he did blow zeros in that, so it doesn't sound like it's alcohol related. If it is still DUI and such, I know there's still a lot of, again, like we talked about in the first hour, I don't want to point fingers and let's hear the whole story and such. But yeah, he definitely needs to seek some help. I can't imagine the amount of pain that guy has put his body through. I think we're all kind of assuming that maybe it's some painkillers and such that was, maybe what he was under the influence and such. But again, I don't want to fully presume and assume all that sort of stuff. But I think one thing's for certain. That guy, T-Dub, he's my favorite golfer for what he does on the course. Off the course, he's got to get the help that he needs, man. Take care of yourself. I want to see you on the Masters. I want to see you at Augusta National next weekend, but that doesn't matter. You got to take care of yourself first and foremost. So, all right, we got to take a quick break. Let's get back to some more baseball talk. Brewers sweeping the White Sox. Now they've got the Tampa Bay Rays. Let's talk a little baseball coming up after these quick words. Hunting season will be here before you know it, and that preparation starts right now. At Tilden Gun, they know serious hunters don't wait until opening day to get ready. Whether you're gearing up for spring turkey season or maybe planning ahead for fall, now is the time to make sure that your equipment is dialed in. From shotguns and rifles to optics, ammunition, and must-have accessories, Tilden Gun has the selection and expertise to help you step into the woods with confidence. Maybe it's time to upgrade your setup. Maybe it's time to sight in that new optic, or maybe it's just stocking up so that you are not scrambling later. Turkey season demands precision, patience, and preparation. So stop on in, Tilden Gun, and talk with the people who understand the hunt, because you know what? They live it too. Tilden Gun, get ready now so that you're ready when it matters the most. And don't forget, we got the spring turkey season coming up. We got the youth coming up this weekend. If you do have any luck out there, make sure you share some photos with the rest of us and make us jealous out there for those of us who haven't been able to go out yet or haven't gotten one yet. So, Surveyor, yes, I knew it. Finally, Huts goes down. If your kid were to win it a third year in a row, I was about to take him to the casino and place a bunch of bets. So, yeah, I don't quote me, but I think, Surveyor, it might be between you and I for the bracket challenge. You need Illinois to win. I need UConn to win. And I think it comes down to that. Could be wrong. I might. Don't quote me. All right, don't quote me. There might be something else on that Arizona-Michigan side of things too. So we'll see. But anywho, let's talk some more baseball. 3 games in. Let's do some overreactions. By the way, first of all, before we get into it, I don't know if anybody else saw this on social. Don't know if anybody else really cares about it. But the City Connect uniforms, did they get leaked? They might have. And if you saw it, what are your thoughts on it? So there's images being leaked out there that the new City Connect uniforms for the Brewers, they're like maybe like a royal blue color, but on the front it says Wisco. Instead of anything with Milwaukee or anything like that, it says Wisco. And the name on the back, and it looks like the tag on the inside says Forward, Wisconsin motto on the back. It's like an orange. So, honestly, I kind of like them. I kind of like them. If those are the ones, I kind of like it. And I know, speaking of uniforms, too, there's some rumors, rumblings about Packers' new ones and such. I don't know about that, but yeah, I kind of like it. I'm just going to say here. If you haven't seen it, look it up. But let's do a little fun overreaction from just 3 games into this Brewer season or to the baseball season in general. All right. What's some fun overreactions based off of just 3 games into this thing? Terang, I mean, you look at some of the numbers offensively that he's putting up there. It feels like he is picked right back up after the World Baseball Classic. He's hitting over 400. Dude looks like he's off to a really good start so far. Joey Ortiz, he's got 4 strikeouts, but everything else, he's been offensive numbers are up there. Christian Yelich is back to 2018, 2019 Christian Yelich. I mean, just, I don't know. Give me some fun Brewers overreactions from this past weekend. And I know we got 158 more of these to go, but I'll keep saying this. Celebrate your wins whenever they happen. I don't care if it's game 1. I don't care if it's game 20, 75, 101, 162. Celebrate each win. Celebrate each win that they happen. And right now, we're still on pace for 162-0, people. All right? Still on pace for that. Bucks 62-0. Only a few other teams can say that. The Marlins, the Dodgers, Yankees, and Blue Jays. All right? 4 of those 5 teams maybe more legit than the other one. No offense to the Marlins. But, you got to tip your cap. Again, I get it. It's just 3 games into it. But you got to tip your cap to the starts. I think, you look at Bryce Terang, and we know that he's a guy that all offseason, spring training, we talked about, okay, what else is he going to do from an offensive standpoint? He has gotten better every year offensively that he has been in the league, and he's had a really good World Baseball Classic. And now so far he leads the team in at-bats with 14. And he's hitting .429. He's slugging .643 and an OPS of a 1.110. 3 doubles. 6 of his hits, half of them are doubles. You got to look at the start that he has had, and it's like, all right, dude's just picked up. He continues to roll. Joey Ortiz in 11 at-bats. He's hitting .456 and a .955 OPS. The one kind of bugaboo with him, and he does have 3 RBIs, has been he's struck out 4 times. That's the one kind of bugaboo on here. But at least in the other parts, he's still hitting. And then you look at Yelich. I mean, 10 ABs, 600, on base was 636, slugging 900, OPS of 1.536. It's probably not sustainable, but regardless, those are pretty good numbers. You know, there's only 6 guys, 6 players through 3 games that have credited with double-digit at-bats. That's Turang, that's Bowers, it's Contreras, it's Ortiz, Frelick, and Yelich. But you look at a guy like David Hamilton, okay, acquired as part of the Caleb Durbin trade. He's played in 2 games. He's only credited with 4 ABs because he has walked 4 times. He's already got 4 walks. So does Contreras, but Contreras has done it in 3 games and credited with 11 ABs. But Hamilton has walked 4 times, and he has already stolen 3 bases. We knew about the speed that he was going to bring in, and we knew that if he was going to be in that lineup and he's going to get on base, he's probably going to steal some bags. And so far, he has done just that. You know, from a pitching standpoint, I look at what Aaron Ashby has done in 2 games so far. Coming in relief, opening day, and then on Saturday too. But 2 2/3. He hasn't given up a hit, has issued a couple walks, but he has struck out 6. I think he's off to a good start. Grant Anderson, he's pitched in a couple games. He's pitched 3 innings. He's only given up 1 hit and 1 walk. You look at the bullpen from yesterday's game. You know, we focus on Yelich and that monster shot, and it was awesome. But the Brewers are not able to be in that position if it wasn't for the bullpen locking it down and limiting that damage that was done through the first 3 innings by Brandon Sproat. And Sproat will be better. Okay, he'll be better. His first career start with the Brewers, I've got confidence he will be better. But a ton of credit has to go to the bullpen. You know, Sproat goes just 3 innings and 7 runs. And I know I'm not the only one who thought, looking at that lineup yesterday, was like, oh, okay, it's going to be one of those series is wrapped. We're going to give some guys a day off, and we'll see what happens. That was that kind of lineup. But you look at what the bullpen did after coming in, and it's not like they used a bunch of arms in that game, in yesterday's game either. In fact, when you look at it, the White Sox used more pitchers than the Brewers. And this is with their starter, the Brewers starter, going just 3 innings. Because Anderson came in, gave him 2 innings of 1-hit ball. Koenig came in, 1 inning, 3 Ks. Woodford came in. He got credit with the win. The newcomer comes in, pitches 2 innings, 1 hit. And then you hand the ball off to Trevor McGill for the save opportunity. What the bullpen did, Anderson, Koenig, Woodford, McGill, those 4 pitchers pitching the final 6 innings and giving up 1, 2, 3 total hits and 1 walk. That was it. If it's not for that performance from the bullpen and not allowing any more runs. That Brewers offense isn't able to chip it away and not able to put up that big old 6 spot, that crooked number in the bottom of the 8th to take the lead and hold on. So a ton of credit goes to that pitching staff, to that bullpen for the job that they did. And really, when you want to look at it, if you want to look at this bullpen throughout this series against the White Sox, okay, so Saturday night, Chad Patrick goes 4 1/3. He's solid. 5 hits, 1 earned run. The bullpen after that, 2 hits. Zerpa gave up both of them, but that was it. Because Ashby came in, pitched 1 2/3, 4 Ks. Uribe comes in, 2 Ks. Hall with an inning. 2 hits in Saturday's game, in Saturday's win. And then you go to opening day. 2 total hits from the bullpen. D.L. Hall gave up a hit, and Woodford gave up a hit, and that was that home run. But that's the only run so far allowed by the bullpen in 3 games. And they haven't been really overused that much. So, yeah, ton of credit to them. What else has stood out to you in the first 3 games of this Brewers' very, very, very young season? Let me know. All right. We got to take a quick break. Back with plenty more coming up after these quick words. If you are in the market for a new vehicle or maybe a brand new used vehicle, high quality used vehicle, look no further than our good friends at Toyson Ford. You can check them out at 1000 Chippewa Crossing Boulevard in Chippewa Falls, or check them out online at toysonford.net. They're proud to serve the drivers of the area with some of the most popular vehicles around Wisconsin and the country, and they're committed to giving the drivers in our area the best in customer service with a top-notch selection of brand-new vehicles to choose from, as well as an extensive inventory of pre-owned vehicles. From the moment you step into their showroom, you are more than just a customer to them. You're an honored guest. So if you're looking, maybe you got a little extra money from that tax return this year, and you're like, you know what? I haven't gotten a new vehicle in forever or in a long time, or a new used vehicle in a long time. Check out Toyson Ford. They can help you out. All right, toysonford.net, or again, 1000 Chippewa Crossing Boulevard in Chippewa Falls. So, Brew Crew back at it today as they're going to be taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. So we get Kyle Harrison on the mound, getting the start for the Brewers today. This is where I'm not to put a lot on the shoulders of the young kid, but Kyle Harrison, I'm really excited to see throughout this season. Not just this game, but I'm really excited to see what he can bring to this squad. And I think the biggest thing with Sproat and Harrison this year is, there's probably going to be some, inconsistencies. There's probably going to be some, ups and downs and such, kind of like what Sproat had yesterday. And Harrison's probably going to do the same thing here too. That's what you're going to get with some younger pitchers, especially now full-time starters within this rotation. You're going to have a little bit of inconsistency and such. But I think Harrison, from a talent side of things, I think this kid can be a really good pitcher. And now you pair him up with the Brewers pitching lab and the Brewers pitching coaches like Chris Hook and Henderson and such. I think, honestly, I feel like sky's the limit for this guy. So I'm excited to see this guy in action starting tonight, going up against the Tampa Bay Rays. And when you look at this matchup coming up tonight between the Brewers and the Rays, Brewers actually have a little bit of experience going up against the pitcher, Martinez. All right, Nick Martinez coming in, and because he pitched the last couple of years for the Cincinnati Reds. So when you look at it, you've got 5 Brewers with double-digit at-bats throughout their careers against Martinez. Contreras has 15 career at-bats against him. He's got a 6.67 OPS, just 200 batting average. Frelick in 10 career at-bats, 4 RBIs, 400 average, 900 OPS. Garrett Mitchell has even had success against him. 10 career at-bats, 400, and a 1.000 OPS. Yelich, 16 career at-bats, including a homer, 313 average, 916 OPS. And Bryce Harang, 13 career at-bats, including a homer, 231, 824 OPS, though. Gary Sanchez, 7 career at-bats, 429, 1.556. Ortiz does have 9 career at-bats, but he has struggled, 111 and a 311 OPS. So you do have few guys with quite a bit of experience, 2-3 games worth going up against Martinez, which makes sense. I mean, if spending 2 years with the Reds and such. Now, on the flip side, there are a couple of hitters on this Rays team that have about a game's worth of experience going up against Harrison. We're talking about like 2-3 ABs. Fortes, their catcher, has 6 career at-bats, but just 143 OPS and nothing for a batting average. So a little bit, but not a ton. Nothing like what the Brewers have going up against the righty tonight. So maybe a little bit of an advantage for the Brewers because they're familiar with him and such. But I think the biggest wild card tonight is going to be, what's Harrison going to be like? How is he going to look? Is he going to look like maybe what his his final tune-up was against the Reds? Sproat looked good in that game too, and we kind of saw it yesterday. The butterfly is going to get to him a little bit and such. I think that's going to be kind of the big thing for tonight's game is how well is Harrison going to be? How well can he channel those nerves, those butterflies, and that anxiety. Because if he goes out there and he's wheeling and dealing, all right, now we rock and roll, baby. Hey, Brewers, top team right now in 3 games, have a little fun overreaction. Most runs scored. That would be your Milwaukee Brewers. Let's enjoy it. Keep enjoying it. All right. So, looking ahead to the Brewers' schedule here too. Not to get too far ahead because, baseball, you literally have to take it one game at a time and one day at a time, right? But, just to kind of look ahead, you've got the Rays for a 3-game series here. Then you got the Royals at Kansas City, the first time the Brewers will hit the road. You're talking about American League all over the place because they've got the Royals and then they visit the Boston Red Sox before returning home next weekend, not this coming weekend, but the next weekend in a home series against the Nationals. So, and then if you want a midweek series and see the Blue Jays, maybe a little Dalton Bar show. They're going to be there for a midweek series starting on Tuesday, April 14th, 15th, and 16th. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3-game series. A lot of American League teams coming up in the first month of their schedule. Obviously, the White Sox. Now they got Tampa. Then they'll have Kansas City, Boston, the Blue Jays, and then they got the Tigers for a 3-game series in April as well. So you're talking 6 American League teams through to begin their season. Then they got the Yankees coming up in the beginning portion of May, along with the Twins on there too. So, and then Astros at the end of the month. But kind of, again, continuing to take your thoughts since we're talking baseball. Did you like your first kind of glimpse of the ABS system, the challenges of the balls and strikes? Even if you voted on our 715 Speaks poll question brought to you by Post Glass and Mirror, did you like it? Did you not? 84% of you saying you liked it. I'm a little surprised it is that big of a gap. 16% of you said, no, you don't. Tell me why. All right, tell me why you did. Tell me why you didn't. I want to get your feedback, your analysis on it. All right, we got to take our final break, and then the third quarter is going to be in the books, and then we're going to be entering the fourth and final hour, the fourth quarter. We'll do that right now. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Pain does not have to slow you down, and at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, their experienced team is focused on getting you back to doing what you love, whether that's competing on the field or staying active or simply moving without discomfort. From joint pain and sports injuries to advanced surgical and non-surgical treatments, they provide a personalized care designed around you. Local experts, advanced techniques, real results. If pain is holding you back, take the next step towards recovery. That's Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, helping you move better every single day. So, all right. We only got about 7 minutes left to the top of the hour. So continue to send me your VFW Post 305 best and worst from the weekend. All right. There's a lot of goods. You got a lot to choose from. And I can't fault you if you can't narrow it down to just one, because I couldn't narrow it down to just one. So, but what is the best of the weekend in your opinion? And then give me what was the worst. Sports related, right? Sports related from the weekend. We'll hit those up, hit some more up coming up in the next hour. Matt LaFleur, he's going to talk with the media for the first time since before he got his contract extension, before Jonathan Gannon was hired, before a new offensive coordinator, before all these new players. So he's at the NFL owners meeting, breakfast, little Q&A with the media. If you were a legit member of the media and asking a legit question to him at that table, what would you ask him? All right, you get one question. What would you ask Matt LaFleur at the breakfast table? All right. You got a good one? Let me know. Send it on over. 715-830-1912. Or hit me up on the Section 105 chat room. I'll check that out here in just a little bit. So we'll get to that coming up in the next hour. We'll continue our baseball chat here this morning. And now that the Bucs season is practically done with, right? I mean, they're eliminated from postseason play. They got 8 more games left to go in this thing. But kind of an early, I guess, pump the brakes full throttle. Is this the most crucial, unknown, pivotal, scary offseason in Bucs history? The biggest unknown, and it all surrounds one individual. The Greek freak Giannis. What are they going to do? A season, an offseason that is going to be coming up that is, get ready, buckle up. You know, we talk about like summer months, especially maybe July and such, kind of a slow time in the sports calendar year. You got baseball and such going on, but man, maybe with the Bucs, there might be a lot of stuff going down with this thing. And I don't have a good feeling either way. I'm right down the middle. I guess if I had to pick somewhere where I was leaning towards, I'd probably pick the side leaning a little bit more towards I don't think he's going to be back, and I feel like he's going to be traded, but wouldn't be the last time. It wouldn't be the first, and wouldn't be the last time that I would be wrong. So, but how do you think this is? And I get it. Maybe some of us, I'll admit, I wasn't around during Kareem. That one, obviously, that would be in the running for anybody who was around during that time and such. But I guess for me, for my lifetime, this is no doubt right up there as the biggest offseason in Milwaukee Bucks history. Because you keep Giannis, that means you're still trying to compete for championships. If you trade Giannis, you're going through a reset. You're going through a little bit of a rebuild. There is no middle ground in this thing. There's just not. They may say, hey, you know, let's say they trade Giannis, okay? They trade him. They may say, hey, we're not rebuilding. We're still the same goal and blah, 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 blah. No. Because then you're going to have a new head coach. You got to have a new head coach. There's just no way you run it back. No way. You can't. It would not make any sense. None whatsoever. No. I don't even want to fathom that possibility. But all right, so we'll hit that up coming up in the next hour as well. So plus, yeah, we'll get to some more football talk with the coach's breakfast coming up. What would you ask Matt LaFleur? We'll talk a little green and gold here. again, probably not going to learn a whole lot today, but, we'll see. It's the first time the coach has talked since right after the conclusion of the season. I'll revisit the questions that I would ask Coach LaFleur at the breakfast table and such. So, and then going back to the Brewers here for their first 3 games, the series sweep against the White Sox. If you had to pick one thing that maybe impressed you the most or what stood out to you the most from this series win, what was it? For me, it was the bullpen. I'd throw the bullpen in there. They looked awesome. I get it. It was the White Sox. Okay. Non-Brewers fans can poo-poo on it, or even some Brewers fans can poo-poo on it if they want. It was the White Sox. I get it. I understand it. But you know what? The Brewers did their job. They did what they were supposed to do against an opponent that is not supposed to be as good as you. You didn't play down to them. You took care of business. You did your job. You won the series. You swept the series. Okay? So poo-poo on it all you want. Some teams, Cubs, didn't do their job this past weekend. Brewers did. They took care of business. Because what has been one gripe over Brewers fans for the last few years, sometimes it feels like they what? Play down to their competition. Well, they opened up the season with a series sweep, and they didn't play down to that competition. They took care of business. They came back in that final game and picked up that series win. So I tip my cap to them. I tip my cap to them for doing their job and doing it well. That's the thing, too. I know, sounding like, hey, doing your job kind of makes it sound a little nonchalant, that excited. They did it well. A job well done. So, all right, shot clock's going to cut me off here in just a few seconds. So we'll lead it off talking a little green and gold, as I know I saw online here some of the media members getting set to chat with Coach LaFleur coming up in less than an hour. So what questions would you throw out there? All right, I know you all do, because you gripe or you complain or you compliment him at times. So, all right, you're in the driver's seat. You get to ask a question. What would it be? Okay? What would it be? I got a few, but I'm asking one. Just one from you. All right. Not halftime. Third quarter's in the books. We got news updates. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. All right, final hour, kick it off right now on this Monday morning of March 30th. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. Appreciate it. I love this good old spam message once in a while. So we are still looking for your best and worst from the weekend. Tim in the Cooley region says best is Badger men's Frozen Four, worst Yukon in the Final Four. Coach Hurley drives me nuts with his sideline antics. Reminds me of Bobby Knight. TV coverage doesn't help with showing him so much. Hey, I was happy because I got all my Final Four teams in. So that's all I cared about right now. So we have Eli on the texting line. Give me Ms. Cy Young year after we traded for Reddy. So, okay. You keep your messages coming. All right. Section 105, or hit us up on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line with a quick chat. So, or with a quick text, excuse me. So, all right. Coming up in about 40 minutes, Matt LaFleur is going to be taking questions from the media, from Packers media. So this is the first time we have heard from Coach LaFleur since shortly after the season. So we haven't heard from him since he got his extension. We haven't heard from him since Jonathan Gannon was hired. We haven't heard from him since Rich Bisaccia stepped away. We haven't heard from him since new players and such. So like a lot of this, he'll probably say a whole lot of nothing. Okay? Probably not tell the whole story. Not really give anybody a peek behind the curtain. But if you could ask him one question, put him on the spot. Ask him a tough question. What would it be? I had a few. If I was at that breakfast, I would have a few. And I think one of them, my main one, if I had to narrow it down to one, the main question that I would throw out there to Matthew LaFleur would be, your boss, your general manager, Brian Gutekunst, has numerous times in the offseason in his media availabilities talked about the inability to finish games and talked about having to figure out how to change that. Finishing games, winning these games. And I think a lot of that is on your shoulders. How do you figure that out? What have you figured out when you've looked back at this season, when you've done some self-scouting? And I got to imagine that is, and he's mentioned it too, during the season and such, and at the end of the season. What is it that you found? What is it that you are going to do differently both as a head coach and as an offensive play caller? What is it that you found in your self-scouting that is going to put you in a better position to close out games, to finish games strong? How are you going to do that? What is the game plan for that? Or what was the thing that maybe you found? But I think it is clearly one of the biggest issues that you had last year, that this team had last year. So what are you going to do differently? How are you? We know what you want to do differently. You want to close out better, but how are you going to do that? Or what do you have to do differently to do that? That'd probably be like my main question. The whole pedal to the metal, gas, no brakes sort of thing. Okay, that's cute and all. That's old and that, but let's just see the results now. All right, let's see the results. Another question I'd throw out there is, the NFL Players Association report card. Some coaches, some teams may downplay it and such, but as a head coach, your grade went down considerably. Letter grade, I believe it was. As the head coach of this ball club, who just got an extension now, how seriously do you take that assessment? And it might not be from a majority, but it was from a portion of your team. And I know your quarterback just came out singing the praises that he's really happy that you're sticking around. But obviously there were maybe just a handful, but there are some players who downgraded you. How seriously do you take that? And how do you address that? How do you get better? How do you maybe gain those players confidence back. And another one I think I'd throw in there is the whole Rich Bisaccia one, just the timing of it would be, was it that you were trying to, convince him to stay, so you gave him some extra time? Do you kind of regret it now because maybe you'd have liked to have gone into that hiring pool a little bit earlier? What was that process overall like? What were those conversations with Rich Bisaccia like? Was it just straight up he wanted to be closer to home? And then I would ask too, and this one he would never fully answer, and I get that in a public setting. Was Jonathan Gannon his number one choice as defensive coordinator? How badly did he want to interview Jimmy Leonhard? But how nervous was he that if he waited, he was going to lose out on Gannon, and it wasn't a for sure thing that Jimmy Leonhard was going to take the job? Because let's be real, Jimmy Leonhard already turned him down once. How much did and maybe that's the question. How much of the fact did Jimmy Leonhard already turning you down once factor in your decision to go to Gannon? Did it make you a little bit nervous, a little less confident that Leonhard wasn't going to be a for sure thing since he turned you down once? So that's why you went with maybe the for sure thing before another team hired him. I know there was reported like the Giants, and there was another team potentially interested in that. Those are just a few of the questions I would have at the top of my head. With Matt LaFleur going over breakfast, having some scrambled eggs and coffee and OJ, maybe a muffin too, maybe some fruit. But those are the questions I would throw in there. And, we know with these again that you're never going to get a fully truthful answer. You're never going to get the full-on scope. You're never going to get a full-on peek behind the curtain. It's just, we know it's not. But you throw those questions out there to maybe kind of see what the response is, to see how they answer, and maybe you find a little bit of a nugget in there. Just maybe. And I think I'd throw something in there, too, about how do you get a guy like Matthew Golden more involved this year? Like, how do you incorporate him more into your offense? Because I think you got to find out something in year two. And I don't fully blame Matthew Golden or say this is a do-or-die season in his sophomore year. I don't want to say that. But I just feel like with Jaden Reed coming up in a contract year, Dontavian Wicks coming up in a contract year, I feel like you might want to find out, what all do we got with Matthew Golden to maybe make it a little bit easier to move on from those two guys at the end of this upcoming season. Because let's say Golden's a starter and you give him every opportunity in the world, but let's say it isn't panning out in year two. Does that force the hand of maybe a Goody to say, okay, you know what? We for sure have to re-sign either Reed or Wicks just to cover our butts. Heck, even Christian Watson with his contract status up there too. Like, how, from a game planning standpoint, are you going to get Matthew Golden more involved, more touches? Because I think we all know he's got talent. He's got speed. All last year in training camp, all we kept hearing about, dude's got the best hands in camp. Best hands in camp. How can we utilize that more? How can we get him involved more? And, as the play caller, do you maybe regret looking back at last year and not involving him more? Or finding other ways to get him more involved? I'd probably also, I'm coming up with a lot of these off the top of my head right now. I'd really want to pick his brain on how he views his offensive line. Because one of his favorite lines all the time too is the 5 best will play. All right. But is that your 5 best, how they're currently structured? Are they in the right spots? If they're your 5 best, are they in the right spots? Like, how confident are you really with your offensive line right now? The way it's on paper. Jordan Morgan, Aaron Banks. How confident are you with Sean Ryan being your full-time center now? Anthony Belton entering year 2. And Zach Tom. Zach Tom, you're probably like, oh, dude, I'm not worried about him. He's probably the one that's like, don't got to worry about him. He good. Would there be any thought about moving Zach Tom to left tackle? I don't even know if that's even been mentioned or something like that. But where is he on that confidence scale? Those are just some of the questions I'd have out there. So, really quick, since we were talking about ABS, ESPN Insights just posted some numbers here. Those 6, talking about the some statistics. League average 10% walk rate, 25% strikeout rate. Okay. Most challenges have been the Twins with 11. The fewest have been the Rockies with 2. Perfect on challenges have been the Royals and the Diamondbacks. No successful challenges yet are the Astros and the Cardinals. The Astros are 0 for 6 on challenges. Mike Trout is 3 for 4 on challenges as a batter, and Aaron Judge is the only player to home run after a successful challenge. All right. Well, that's only through 3 games, so obviously we'll get a much, 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 much bigger sample size as the season progresses. So, but hey, continue to send me. Did you like the ABS from the first 3 games that you saw, or be like, it's not really what I thought it would be, or maybe you were annoyed by the constant. Like, how many of you were kind of annoyed with the White Sox catcher constantly doing it, but he was getting them right? But that's the thing that kind of annoys me the most with the ABS is we're talking about centimeters on some of that stuff, and I get it. Got to get it right now, but I'd almost like if I'm a home plate ump and I get a call off by like a centimeter or 0.1 inch, give me a break. That would be annoying. All right, let's take a quick break, but we'll be back with plenty more coming up after these quick words. Don't forget to sign up your two-person team for the Kasper Classic coming up on Friday, August 7th. You can just head to our website, sportstalk1051.com, and sign up your two-person team today. I've seen looked like we had quite a few teams already signing up for the 10 a.m. and the 1 p.m. tee time slots. So we still have we got 3 tee time slots. We got 7:30 a.m., 10 a.m., and 1 p.m. But it looks like a few of you already nabbing up some of those early spots. So get to it. Head to our website, sportstalk1051.com, or you can also go to 715store.com. All right. We got Jordan saying that took the words right exactly out of my mouth. That's exactly what I would be asking Matt LaFleur, too. Those are all fantastic questions. Why are you not there to ask them? I'm working on trying to get some Packers and stuff, but no, I won't jinx anything. So I'll just leave it at that. So I'm attempting to work on something. So, but we've got John saying I would ask Matt LaFleur, with all the new assistant head coaches, does that mean you'll spend more time coaching up the defense and special teams? Okay. I did have another mess going back to the ABS system. Paul says, I voted no because I either go all the way with it or not. This halfway challenge stuff is annoying. And I'll admit it with the ABS thing, and I mentioned it earlier, but just to kind of bring it back up. Before the season started, when they were talking, I was curious about this. I was intrigued with it. I was like, okay, yeah. You know, I like that it's quick. I like that we're going to see it. It's like tennis. We're going to see it. But the ticky-tack stuff is now it's kind of annoying for me. I'll be honest. It's kind of annoying for me. And I just I could go either way, I guess, at it at this point, and I get it. It's probably still a feel sort of thing. You know, players are trying to figure it out and all that. It's just some of the really, really ticky-tack ones it's kind of annoying for. But the clear and obvious ones, I like it for that instance. But I don't know. I almost feel like and this is never going to happen, but I almost feel like if a player challenges it and they get it right, but it's like a centimeter, you should still get it wrong because, I mean, that's really, 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 really small. That would never happen because then you're just opening up a complete floodgate of stupid crap. So that would never, ever, ever happen. But Final Four, looking at these matchups, the early matchups. All right, first thoughts. You've got UConn taking on Illinois, Michigan taking on Arizona. If you're a Badgers fan, can you root for the Big Ten? Are you hoping to see an all Big Ten national title game, Illinois and Michigan? Or are you of like, if it's not Wisconsin, no to any other Big Ten team? Absolutely not. No, thank you. As much as I don't like UConn or Arizona, make it though so it's not a Big Ten national championship. I've got no skin in the game except for I just want to win the bracket challenge, so I'm hoping it's UConn, Arizona. And Arizona wins. That's what I picked. I've got this Final Four. One down. Let's get these next two right. That's all I care about now. I've got no skin in the game. It is what it is. It is what it is at this point. I almost feel like, and I could be off on this, but I almost feel like that people tend to forget after a couple years who won the men's NCAA national championship in basketball. More so than maybe the football national championship. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if you polled people and say, give me the last 5 NCAA champions in football and give me the last 5 men's NCAA Division I basketball champions, I feel more people would be able to get football ones right compared to basketball. And I say this maybe more in terms of the argument of, do you care whether a conference team wins a title or not? Because right now, I think we all know, oh, man, Ohio State, Michigan, right? Big Ten. But basketball, I feel like you kind of forget about who won it maybe 5 years ago. Maybe that's just me. But do you remember who won it in 2021? It was Baylor. Baylor won it in 2021. Ironically, that was the last one that was in Indy, too. 2020, there was no tournament. So then Kansas and then UConn's run. UConn. Then Florida won it last year, which I still feel like people kind of forget that Florida won it last year. Yep, Florida was a 1 seed this year, too. I don't know. I feel like that kind of gets forgotten, too. Maybe it's just me. But I think there's some good match. I think between the 2 games, I really think that Arizona and Michigan one, that could be a really, really special one. A really good matchup. Looking at those 2 teams and how those 2 teams like to play basketball, I feel like that has the makings of a classic Final Four matchup. And that's honestly outside of winning bracket challenges and outside of, whatever. I just want some classic games. I just want some good games. I don't want any blowouts. I don't want UConn to blow out Illinois or vice versa. I don't want Arizona to blow up Michigan, vice versa. I mean, if it helps my bracket, probably make me less antsy and less, stressed. I just want some classic Final Four games. I want some good games that go down the wire. I want a game like UConn and Duke yesterday. A classic finish, a classic ending. I want that. That's what I want. As a sports fan, that's what I want. If I don't have any skin in the game, let's go that route. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I do think, at least on paper, it sure looks like that Arizona-Michigan game is good. And watch, it's probably going to be Illinois and UConn's going to be the classic. So, which it could. It very well could be. This is from, tell you what, I got to take a quick break. And then we got a little more Packers rumors to hit up. All right? So we'll get to that coming up here in just a sec. But really quick break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. So Packers head coach Matt LaFleur is set to speak to the media here in about 10 minutes or so. And this was from Tom Silverstein, who covers the Packers for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. You can check out his whole piece up at packersnews.com and such. But kind of an interesting little nugget. So we've been talking about, extensions and the priority list of who's going to get an extension, and such. And a little bit of a note that he put in there. Packers will try to sign receiver Christian Watson and Tucker Kraft to expensive long-term extensions and may consider extending receiver Jaden Reed and defensive tackle Carl Brooks later in the year. If they decide not to execute a fifth-year option on defensive end Lucas Van Ness, they may try to sign him to an extension also. Carl Brooks. Probably not, when I first said defensive tackle, probably not the name that you thought I was going to say, right? But Carl Brooks. So, Carl Brooks, obviously still, in his rookie contract and such. And when you look at Carl Brooks, if we just look at Pro Football Focus grades, last year was not a great year for Carl Brooks. Overall grade, again, this is just Pro Football Focus grades. 109th out of 134. And he finished 38th in total snap counts out of 225. He is a little bit better of a rushing defensive tackle. I mean, he finished 50th in pressures out of 134 and such, but he, all intents and purposes, it was a down year for Carl Brooks last year. And I think a lot of people within the Packers and such would agree with that. And just kind of looking back at it a little bit, like he had a solid 2023 rookie season. 2024, it was okay. Maybe not as high as it was going to be. He recorded a 58.2 pass rush grade in 2024, according to Pro Football Focus. But last year, yeah, and he was named to Pro Football Focus's 2024 All-Breakout Team. I think there's obviously still high on him. I wonder, would they view that as a potential cheaper option than Devontae Wyatt? Because if they sign Tucker and sign Christian Watson and possibly Jaden Reed, there's only so much amount of money to go around, right? Would they look at Carl Brooks as potentially being a cheaper option instead of Devontae Wyatt? I don't know. Now, also, maybe something to look of note. Carl Brooks has been fairly healthy. Been really healthy throughout his career. 17 games, 16 games last year. He started 7 games last year. Just half a sack, but his rookie year, 4 sacks. 2024, 3.5 sacks. Now, could it be maybe? I think now the question is going to be, is he going to be a little bit better suited for a 3-4 style defense? For whatever Jonathan Gannon's going to be kind of running here? Because you look at his rookie year, right? His rookie year was 2023. And that was the final year of Joe Barry when they kind of ran that 3-4. Granted, yes, he still had 3.5 sacks under year one of Jeff Hafley, but I think after his rookie year in 2023, there was probably some high hopes and some high optimism, like, okay, maybe we got something here. So this is potentially a big, crucial year for Carl Brooks and maybe for the Packers too, just to see, okay, can we get him back on track? And I look at this. Yeah, interesting. I think, yeah. And again, this is this is a report out there. Doesn't necessarily mean it's 100% truthful, not to take anything away from Tom Silverstein or anything like that, but maybe something to kind of watch this year is, we talk about these different players and, who's going to be in line for contract extensions and such. Maybe kind of keep an eye on Carl Brooks at this point. Something to monitor. This is kind of interesting. So, where did it go? This was from The Athletic just a few minutes ago. More than 11,000 fans participated in our 5th annual MLB Hope-O-Meter. Overall, 72% reported they are optimistic about their favorite team this season compared to 66% in 2025. Where did the Brewers finish? 8th, 87.8. Any Dodger fan that voted no, you're nuts. They had 99.8%. What about it from a Dodgers fan standpoint? Were they not optimistic? I would love to know that. Or did they just vote no just to be a contrarian? Blue Jays were second at 96.2, Mariners 95.7, Tigers 95, Royals 94.5, Cubs 92.4, Boston 90. So Brewers finished third among National League teams behind the Dodgers and the Cubs. Mets came in at 10th at 83.8. That would be the next National League team. Orioles were between the Brewers and the Mets. Pirates actually feeling optimistic, 78.8. The team that was less optimistic, dead last, just across the border from us, that would be the Minnesota Twins, 4.3%. Wow. 4.3. The Angels were at a 5.7. Nationals, 28th, but it's a major leap, 24.2. At least they had double digits. Woo. Twins, 4.3. There is no optimism whatsoever from Twins fans. And you're talking about a big jump between Twins and Angels compared to the Nationals and the Rockies. Even the Rays, who Pacoda rankings and projections have the Rays with like a winning record. They're coming in at 26 at 31.6%. And I think it's just probably a lot of it is look at the division they play in. Cardinals come in at 32.3%. And then there's another big jump from the Cardinals at 25 at 32.3%. You got the Astros at 59.5%. White Sox came in 23rd at 67.2%. The Yankees, they must just be miserable. 67.6%, 22nd on the most optimistic list. That's funny. That's pretty funny. So, team surveyor ready to go for the 7:30 tee time for the Classic. So if anyone wants to golf with the most fun, over-embellishing, non-pragmatic golfers in the Valley, sign up for 7:30. We promise at least 2 belly laughs and a good time if you get paired up with us. There you go. Surveyor throwing it out there. Okay, let's take our final break, and we've got picks. Picks. Game 1 of this series between the Brewers and the Rays. Kyle Harrison's on the mound. Will he get his first career win as a Brewer starter? Well, let's decide with picks. Coming up after these quick words. All right, wrapping up the morning with some picks here. Let's start off with women's college basketball. We've got Wisconsin in action later on today in the WBIT semifinal, taking on Columbia. Tip time 1:30. Yeah, I'm going with the Badgers. So Badgers win and they advance to the championship game. In the Elite Eight here, we've got TCU taking on South Carolina. I gotta go South Carolina. Then you got Michigan versus Texas. I'm going to go Texas. So South Carolina and Texas advanced. UConn's already advanced. They picked up a win against Notre Dame yesterday, and UCLA took down Duke. So 2 1 seeds already in. I'm going to pick 2 more 1 seeds to get in there. So let's go to the NBA world. Philadelphia taking on Miami. Give me the 76. Paul George is actually playing decent, so I'll go 76ers. Boston, Atlanta. Atlanta's favored by 1.5 in this one. I'm still going to go Boston. Phoenix, Memphis. I'll go with the Suns. Bulls, Spurs. Going with the Spurs. T-Wolves, Dallas. Going Minnesota. Cleveland, Utah. Give me the Cavs. Detroit, OKC. This should be a good one. I'm going to go Oklahoma City. You got 2 top teams, and Oklahoma City is favored by 11.5. Washington and the Lakers. I am going to go with the Lakers. Let's do some NHL picks. We got a few games. Pittsburgh at New York Islanders. I'll go with the Islanders. Calgary versus Colorado. I'm going to go with the Avalanche. Vancouver, Vegas. I'll go Vegas. New head coach in Vegas, too. It's like John's like 700th team over there. Toronto, Anaheim, give me the Ducks, and then the Blues and Sharks. I will go with the San Jose Sharks. Baseball games. We've got Twins, Kansas City. Got to go with the Royals. Texas, Baltimore. I'll go Baltimore. White Sox and Miami. Miami's undefeated. White Sox looking for their first win. I'll go Miami. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. I'll go Cincinnati. Washington at Philadelphia, give me the Phillies. Colorado at Toronto, give me the Blue Jays. Athletics at Atlanta, I'll go with the Braves. Angels at the Cubs, I'll go with the Cubs. Mets taking on the Cardinals, I will go with the Mets. Boston at Houston, give me the Red Sox. Yankees at Seattle, I'll go Seattle for this one. Giants, Padres, I'm going to go Padres. Cleveland at the Dodgers. I'll go Dodgers. Detroit, Arizona. Give me the Tigers. Justin Verlander starting for the Tigers. And then Brewers at home taking on Tampa Bay. Give me the soon-to-be 4-0 Milwaukee Brewers. So those are your picks for this morning. Matt LaFleur, he's chatting with the media right now. Said that he is ecstatic to be back with the Packers. Quote, I'm ecstatic to obviously be back with the Packers. This is a one-of-one organization. Love the organization, the people. According to Wes Hodequit, said the negotiations were easy. Good line of communication with Ed Policy. So, anything more kind of popping up here? Because they're literally just talking to him now. So trying to see if there's any updates, but nothing yet. So, but all right. Well, if there is, we'll recap a lot of it coming your way tomorrow morning. So, obviously, tomorrow morning is a Toyson Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday. So, here's your homework assignment, peeps. Ready? Think about what is grinding your gears. All right. Come up with a list. Could be 1, could be 5, could be 10, however many you want. All right. Best ones I'll read on the air if they are appropriate. So tomorrow, Grind My Gears Tuesday. Also coming your way is a I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. All right. I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. And it is also Confession Day. All right, give me your sports confessions. This is the big one. All right, think about it. Think about it and be like, okay, forgive me, sports gods, for I have sinned. What is it? want a list. Give me that list. Give me that list. That way you'll feel better. Tuesdays are all about, it's a feel-good Tuesday or a feel-better Tuesday because you're grinding your gears, you're getting something off your chest, and then, you're confessing some of your sports sins. So it's about making yourself feel better on a Tuesday. That's what we're all about here. Another quote, this is from Ryan Wood about Matt LaFleur at his little media breakfast session. Matt LaFleur does not expect much difficulty in transitioning to more 3-4 looks next season. Quote, if you really look at it last year, I know on paper we were really 4-3, but we ended up getting into a lot of odd structures, so we played a lot of 3-4 principles. So, again, if we have, we'll recap more of that stuff, but if you got like Twitter or such and you want to follow along, you can do so over there. But, okay. So, again, Brewers tonight, you can catch the game right here on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. First pitch from Milwaukee, 6:40. Coverage always begins about 35 minutes prior. So about 6:05. Kyle Harrison on the mound for the Crew. Hopefully he'll have a better debut for the Brewers than what Brandon Sproat had yesterday. But you know what? All that matters is what happened yesterday. The Brewers got the W, right? So let's get another W, and let's keep the path of 162-0 intact, baby. Yeah, right? 162-0 intact. That's without Jackson Chirio and now without Andrew Vaughn, who's going to be missing a few weeks because of a broken hamate bone. That seems to be the popular one in baseball now, especially when the season began and spring training games and stuff. Guys getting hit, or in Andrew Vaughn's case, getting, kind of inside on a hit and such. So, but yeah, surgery today, I believe, was the timeline. So he's going to miss a few weeks. But hey, hopefully Jake Bauers can continue his hot stretch from the plate and help fill that void. But I would imagine Gary Sanchez probably going to get some more play at first. So we'll see how that all kind of plays out. Jefferson Kiro getting called up for that. But yeah, I think we're all hoping that majority of reps probably go to Bauers. But if they want to do the lefty-righty matchups, lefty bat, righty bat based off pitching, they'll have a little bit of flexibility to do that as well. So, all right, shot clock is going to cut me off. Big thanks for everybody for participating, hanging out, tuning in, all that good stuff. Let's do it again tomorrow morning. All right, same place, same time, 6 a.m., radio dials, online, the Man Cave TV, YouTube stream, all that good stuff. All right, multiple different ways for you to be tuning in. Have a good Monday. We'll be back tomorrow to wrap up the month of March, too. And then we're into April. 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. See you then.